Hey everyone, welcome back to J is for Justice. In tonight's premiere, we're going to be diving into MK Ultra. This is a government conspiracy that is no longer a conspiracy because now we know it actually happened. This was originally recorded on July 29th of 2022. So there's been quite a change in technology since then. But I think you'll find the conversation and the information about MK Ultra very interesting. See you guys in the chat. Welcome Heather J and the lovely Incognito Potato to the panel.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
What do you guys know about MK Ultra? Let's start there. What do you guys know about that? Have you ever heard of it? You guys tell me what you think. Heather?
I had never heard of it until you brought it up. I had no idea that this was going on.
You had never heard
Wow.
of the term MK Ultra before?
No.
And Heather, you're a military vet, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you'd never heard of this term MK Ultra?
No, when you first started talking about it, I'm like, why is she talking about beer?
Oh, you thought it was Mick Ultra?
Yeah.
The low-carb beer. The low-carb beer of
Beer and mind
champions.
control.
Yeah, Michelob's into mind control now.
No,
Hey, it
I
wouldn't surprise me, really.
seriously was blown away. I had no clue.
Okay. Potato, what about you? What have you heard about all of this in the past?
Well, I heard about it a long time ago, but I just thought it was some kind of conspiracy theory thing. Until I realized that it was actually real, and it was a huge project as well. Like, it was going on for years.
Yeah. I
And
didn't realize
they
that
had about
either.
they had about 140 projects under MK Ultra as well. All studying like LSD and chemicals, use of drugs, behavior,
Yeah.
memories.
In different, scenarios.
Yeah, all different kinds of scenarios. Like they had an operation called Operation Midnight Climax, which was to do with intimate relationships and how LSD can affect that stuff. So they'd have people watching those scenarios to see how people would behave.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. We're going to talk about that. What is it? Operation Midnight Climax?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's
Because,
interesting.
yeah, I've got lots of thoughts on that because not only did the scientists sit there and watch, but the LSD was not given to the prostitutes.
Nope.
The LSD was given to the men that the prostitutes brought back.
And they had no idea that they were given it.
They had no clue. And I don't think they ever found out if they, were, victims of this study. I don't think they ever knew.
Probably not.
It's just really gross. So, I'm picturing these scientists, sitting there. I'm fixing the screen, you guys. I'm picturing these scientists sitting there watching, and it just gives me the heaps.
Creeps. Ew.
It's really gross. I still have fruit flies, by the way. How about you, Heather?
No, they're gone. Thank God.
You got rid of yours. Lucky
Yep.
you. Lucky you. I'm still working on that problem.
I sent them back to you.
You must have. They are flying in my face right now. But yeah, we're going to talk about that climax thing. We're going to talk about what they did in Canada.
That's heartbreaking.
At the Allen Institute, if you guys have ever heard of that. Now, before we started doing this series, I thought the same as you, Potato. I thought it was a theory. I thought MK Ultra was just a theory, conspiracy that somebody made up and was it had to be this type thing. I didn't know this was an actual thing that happened until I started digging into it. And it was quite eye-opening to hear that our government not only did this, but it's documented. Like, this isn't something we're sitting here, speculating on. This is fact.
Mm-hmm.
And
when it ended as well, they tried to get rid of like all the documents and stuff, but there were some things that were left behind.
Yes.
Like the financials and things.
They were ordered.
Which they didn't get rid of.
Yeah, they were ordered to destroy documents by the head of the FBI at the time. And it's just really disturbing. And it kind of gives you like a whole nother kind of insight into what the government's capable of. And if you think about it now, like, this shit was going on back in the 60s, 50s, long time ago. It makes you wonder, what are they doing now?
Yeah.
If they were doing these kinds of studies back then, obviously they're not using LSD. But isn't it funny that we've kind of come full circle on like hallucinogens? Like, now they're bringing, mushrooms are legal. Micro dosing is the thing, and all for these psychiatric disorders.
Yeah,
which I think is kind of interesting that we've reached that level, coming for full circle.
Yep. And when they started the whole MK Ultra thing, like there was obviously wars and stuff going on. It was the Cold War. And there were like prisoners of war coming back from Korea that were brainwashed and things. So they knew that this mind control stuff was going on. And so they had to like figure out what, the effects of LSD and all this stuff, like when it was synthesized and everything, the effects it would have and what they had to defend themselves against and stuff as well. So it started out as like a defensive project kind of thing, figuring out what was going on, how they could protect themselves against it, and then ended up being something completely different, something that they could use against people.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about that time too was that, it was the big time for like communism, Russia. It all ties together when you look back on like Lee Harvey Oswald, the government mind control, the mob connections to the, communist mobs or whatever he was a part of. There's so many conspiracies around that, and around it all kind of folds together just because all of these different events that took place in the 60s.
And it's kind of crazy how they do intertwine with each other. The more you read into it, the more you're like, whoa, this lasted this long and this is connected to that. And
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's really crazy. Deb K in chat said, Jay, when my dad was in medical school in the 50s, he was offered money to try LSD.
Ooh.
Wow.
It was rampant at those universities.
Yep.
Another
That's
one.
where they were doing some studies as well, was in the universities and stuff.
Yep. Harvard, Berkeley, were two big ones. And I know there was another school. What was the other school that was big?
Well, one of the people who was involved with MK Ultra went and became head of psychiatry at UCLA.
Wow. So back then they were trying to figure out if this could help with psychiatric disorders, but they also wanted to know if they could use this on soldiers, like you said. So there were several things, like they wanted to be able to program like assassins, and they wanted to be able to send these guys out to kill somebody and not remember it. So they thought they could wipe the slate clean after they kill someone and they would not remember.
Yep.
And it's also interesting that LSD was brought here from Switzerland by our government before the whole hippie revolution of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, and there's some theories as well that that whole movement was actually government engineered as well.
Well, if they didn't bring LSD here, I mean,
well, right, they brought it here, and it got crazy, right? So they were sending these psychiatrists and things, box loads and box loads of LSD to try on their patients. for free.
Yeah, let's just throw LSD at them and see what happens.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and throw it at them when they don't even really know what it did either at that point, because they hadn't studied it yet.
It's all brand new to them, and they're like, let's just give it away.
And how scary. Like, to be given injections of a mind-altering drug like that and not know. Talk about anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me pull up. I've got video to go along with our discussion tonight. Hello, Sela Rose of Sharon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in. All right, so I've got video to go along with our discussion. Are you guys ready for this? You will never be, this is a disclaimer. You will never be the same after leaving this stream tonight. You will be forever a J is for Justice podcast listener. I'm just kidding. It is unreal. All right, here we go. We're going to start this out. You guys are going to have to listen on YouTube. I know you guys are going to have a little bit of a delay. So we're going to pause in between and give them a chance to catch up before we keep discussing, just so you guys know. Yeah, some interesting chat going on right now. All right, here we go.
And so
let me rewind. Here we go.
I was given a glass of Kool-Aid, and so were the other children. This Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD. It was horrible.
It was the most secret program ever conducted by the CIA in the United States. Patients at psychiatric hospitals, prisoners in federal institutions, and even people in the public were given drugs without their awareness or consent and experimented upon.
Initial projects within MKUltra included Operation Midnight Climax.
They established what were called safe houses, where prostitutes would lure men to these apartments. And then once the men were in the apartments, they were dosed with LSD. And then they were basically studied by CIA scientists, usually behind a two-way mirror.
However, some of the most damaging experiments occurred at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. There, under the direction of infamous Scottish-American psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron.
Okay, from this point, I want to talk about the Operation Midnight Climax. I just want to say, what an opportunity for a bunch of men to be gross. Just gross. So they would send these prostitutes out because, oh, heck, who cares about those prostitutes anyway? Right? We'll use them for our little study. They're going to be having sex with these guys anyway. So let's just use them. So, hey, bring the guys back and we're going to have them drink some LSD. And then we're going to watch you have sex with them and do sexual acts. Gross.
Disgusting.
And why does it all just scream like just pervertedness to me? I don't know why. I don't know if it's everything that we've seen just from that whole time frame. Everything was sinister. And like doing this secretly is so gross. I can't think of anything else. Hi, Julie Labrador.
And the subjects not knowing, too. Ugh.
Not knowing. I mean, now granted, they're men out picking up prostitutes, but still. Can you imagine what they felt like? Like they just thought they were going like, to do whatever. And then all of a sudden they take a drink or something. And then they're like freaking hallucinating and the carpet's moving and all this shit, that happens. We have a special person in chat tonight, it looks like. It looks like we have Ultra tripping with fruit flies in the house. Now,
I wonder who that could be.
I think
Yeah.
that would be. Hello, Lena. Hello, Go Hogs. She says, if you haven't watched The Gray Man with Ryan Gosling, it's about the CIA. It's a good movie. Makes you wonder on Netflix. Thanks for letting us know. I'll check that out. Oh, I know, Carol. Real ethical, right? Real fucking ethical. Hey, Jerry. Jerry says, yes, I'm here. Dream Team is here. What's up, Jerry? Ultra says, I'm tripping so hard I'm seeing bugs. Well, welcome to Friday Night Live.
He is a bug.
I know, he is a bug. He's like that little ant from Bug's Life. Who draw? Oh, hey, Scott Skulls, stick around because they did a study on someone who draws with LSD, and I'd like you to see he drawled before and then he drawled after, and the results are astounding. All right, let's keep going with the clip though, because we're gonna be here all friggin' night if I keep running my trap. Okay, I don't know what that is on the screen. It looks like mushrooms and coke and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Someone said it looked like a dried something.
A dried snake.
A dried snake. Was that Informer? Informer with the observation tonight.
Unsuspecting
snake
patients,
and
many of
soap.
whom had
Oh my God. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming of mind control. Make sure you have your headphones on and your volume turned up to 8, or it will not take the right effect.
ailments such as postpartum depression were experimented on with aggressive drug cocktails.
Well, there's a lot I could not remember after I got out of the Allen. When my family came, I was a zombie. I didn't even know who they were. I am on medication now because of what happened to me when I was 16. I have not had any compensation or apology. I want everyone to know in Canada what went on in that horrible, horrible hospital.
Okay, the Allen. This is where they treated psychiatric disorders. Women with postpartum depression. They also used LSD for like pain. So there's also a man in this video who was suffering from knee pain. Hey, let's give him some LSD. Let's see if that helps.
Oh, forget about his pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He forgot about it, all right. You'll see him afterwards.
As the Korean War ended, the CIA saw a troubling pattern, returning prisoners of war critical of the American way of life.
Now you just sit there quietly and cooperate.
Movies like The Manchurian Candidate stoked fears of a new communist weapon, brainwashing.
These are the days, and ours are the occasion.
Cameron's patients, many of them women with postpartum depression, became guinea pigs in an experiment called depatterning, breaking down the mind with repeated electric shocks and drugs, including massive doses of LSD.
He took my mother away from me.
Allison Steele was 4 when her mother Jean fell into a depression.
And we have pictures of her skiing, horseback riding, always a smile, happy, a person that I didn't know. I never saw my mother this way.
60 years after her mother's treatment, Allison Steele finally has her medical records.
This is where I got to know my mother. What happened to her, the horror that she went through. Pacing the hall this morning saying, I'm just a prisoner. I feel like Jesus on the cross, can feel the nails in my hands and feet. It's just like being buried alive. Somebody, please do something.
Jean Steele was kept in a drug-induced coma for weeks, her brain repeatedly shocked. Dr. Cameron broke her down, but wasn't able to put her back together.
So I just learned over time to not talk to her because I knew she couldn't. So that made me angry.
In the 90s, the Government of Canada, which also funded Cameron's experiments, compensated several dozen patients, but only those who had been completely depatterned, reduced to incontinence, unable to tie shoelaces. Jean Steele wasn't damaged enough, so she and hundreds more received nothing.
these experiments were done without the informed consent of the patients.
So she was just, oh, whatever, you know. She wasn't affected enough to receive compensation. Did you hear that? She was not affected enough to receive any kind of compensation from the Canadian government. And the Canadian government actually was doing these things, was hiding and keeping this under wraps for the U.S. government. Okay. So the U.S. government said, we're not going to tell you we're doing this. We're just doing it. We just need to use your hospitals. And we're going to send our C.I.A. doctor, Dr. Cameron, and we're going to use your facilities. And that's what they did. What do you guys think of that?
That woman's
how much does
heartbreaking.
Yeah, how much does someone's life have to be affected for them to actually consider compensating for it?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think they had plans. I don't think they had plans to compensate anybody, because then they'd have to admit to what they were doing in the first place.
Right, and then they would have to tell, the freaking Canadian government what they've been doing.
Yeah. I know someone who had electric shock treatment, and it completely ruined her life. Like, she had depression, so she was having this electric shock treatment over there, and she couldn't live independently anymore. Like, it completely destroyed everything. So she had to have a carer for the rest of her life. No, because she couldn't make her own decisions or anything. Like, she was a very independent person before it. She had a good job and everything, but afterwards she couldn't herself. She had to have a carer in every day. It's terrible.
That's awful. So apparently they realized after this that shock treatments don't do shit.
Well, no kidding.
Nope.
But it's crazy they were doing that electroshock therapy. I think they still do it.
They were doing lobotomies too.
I think so.
Yeah, like low doses, not doses, but low levels of shock are used, because I know there is, because my son has PTSD, and I went to I checked out all these different therapists, and there are therapists that do this shock therapy, and my son was like, no, because you struggle.
It still happens.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, why is it still going on? Where is the proof that it does anything at all other than has like a negative impact?
Well, and isn't it funny that they're now, like I said before, bringing back the hallucinogens for mental health in a low dose? Hence the microdosing. And, Colorado, magic mushrooms are legal. So now we have these substances becoming legal that do the same thing they were doing back then. It's just weird. We go from injecting these people without their knowledge to now the government saying, hey, it's legal. Go ahead and use those mushrooms.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all fine now.
Yeah, a lobotomy, that's scary too. The Kennedy daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
The Kennedys are not good people, you guys. I have been, oh my gosh, because this all ties in, to Lee Harvey Oswald, Kennedy being assassinated, yada, yada, yada. So my YouTube suggestions are a lot of crazy shit right now. So I've been getting a lot of Kennedy family stuff, and wow. I mean, you could do probably a whole series on just the Kennedy family and all of the conspiracies and nasty things that they've been involved in and done.
Frightening.
Like JFK, I don't even know. We can't even get into that right now. Then we'll be on DB Cooper, and we'll be going.
That's a whole other rabbit hole.
Then we'll be way down in the holes, and we'll never be able to get out. So let's continue with Alan Stein.
Lawyer Alan Stein took up some of the rejected cases. The government's paid a number of settlements since, including $100,000 for Allison Steele. Many of the payments come with non-disclosure agreements.
They're trying to do it quietly.
It's not fair. I mean, I feel blessed that I was able to get this far for my parents. I really do. That's what gives me
Heartbreaking what that lady went through.
In Winnipeg.
Okay, so now we're going to be on to my favorite story about this. This lady is so detailed in her description. Now, the lady we were just talking about got $100,000 on behalf of her mother years and years and years later. And they have to sign non-disclosures when they get these payouts. Which means,
wow.
Which means, yeah, you can't say shit. Here's your money. Shut up. Right?
Yeah, basically.
So the lady you're about to watch, her name is Val, and she went through this LSD treatment. And she talks us through like what she went through. But I just want to preface this by saying that Val ultimately got $50,000 for payment for what she went through. So keep that in mind as you watch her story. 50 grand.
Val Orlico spends a lot of time tending her plants. It's one of the few hobbies she has left. She used to devour books and write long letters. Now she can't concentrate on a book for more than a single page, and writing a letter is beyond her. She's on medication 24 hours a day. If she wasn't married to David Orlico, an NDP member of Parliament, she might never have learned the full story of what happened to her.
That's very good. I better get out the tomatoes and...
Okay, so mind you, her husband was a member of the Canadian Parliament, and they did this shit to her. I mean, what?
The green pepper and...
In 1956, suffering from depression after childbirth, Mrs. Orlico was referred by her Winnipeg doctor to a top psychiatrist in Montreal. Unknowingly, she was about to become part of a cruel CIA experiment, codenamed MK Ultra. In Langley, Virginia, outside of Washington, stands the headquarters of the Central Intelligence Agency, protected by walls of secrecy as high as the trees. Stored inside computers like this one is what's left of the CIA files on
Google
the MK
fingers.
Ultra project. Convinced the Soviets and Chinese had perfected brainwashing during the Korean War, the agency sought to perfect its own techniques.
That's what it was all about right there. They thought Russia and China did mind control. So they thought, oh shit, we've got to get in front of it. And that's what this is all about. This is all about power and control. And it really made me realize these agencies don't really care about us as individuals, as people. Very disturbing, because this is all about, you know, and like I said, this ties all in. 1969, we supposedly went to the moon. We can debate this till the cows come home. I say supposedly because some people don't think we did. Think about the year, 1969. And you know what? NASA thought, oh my God, Russia is about to go to the freaking moon. We cannot have Russia get there first. This is all about being first, being on top, being the best, being the smartest, being the most intelligent, being able to, you know, conquer the enemy. All in
being
the
the
name,
most powerful in the world.
Yep. All in the name of fucking over postpartum mothers. I mean, you don't get much dirtier than that. This woman had a baby.
Children.
Yeah, this woman had a
kids.
baby that needed her, that needed her breast milk, that needed her comfort, that needed to bond. And her mother was in this hospital getting these awful treatments for the USA so they could be, you know, ahead of Russia and ahead of China. It's scary.
And then if they lose their minds and stuff, it's like, well, she was depressed and things anyway. Like she had postpartum depression, so
right.
You know,
so she's
bound to
effed
happen.
up
So they use
anyways.
these people. Yeah, they use these people as an excuse if things go wrong. It's disgusting.
It's so sick. And I just want to say, Google Fingers, you have like a spotlight in this video. Google Fingers,
Oh,
you're gonna be typing a lot on the circa 1960 computer screen. I love it. But Rose of Sharon, they look at us like lab rats, nothing more. I mean, it's really, really scary.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true. It's true. And we didn't hesitate to use other countries' citizens to do this. Yuck. Just gross. And, you know, the CIA wasn't started long before this either. That was a newer agency at the time. A young agency. Very out of control agency. They were doing whatever they wanted agency. Okay, let's keep going. All right, come on, Google Fingers, what you got for us?
Both to protect its agents and to use as a weapon.
Who did you meet with in the safe house?
The CIA man overseeing the project was John Gittinger.
There was continued pressure put upon anybody within the agency in connection with trying to explain or understand brainwashing. So we were charged with rather an elaborate attempt to try to find out chemical, psychological, any kind of means that people could use to influence the behavior of the people.
In Montreal, on the side of the mountain overlooking the city, stands an ancestral home bearing a name worthy of an Edgar Allan Poe horror tale, Ravenscraig. Donated to McGill, Ravenscraig became the Allen Memorial Institute for the Treatment of Mental Illness. Here the CIA channeled money for MK Ultra, Subproject 68, which became a real-life horror tale. The project chief in Montreal was Dr. Ewan Cameron, world-renowned chairman of the Department of Psychiatry at McGill and director of the Allen Memorial Institute. The CIA secretly funded the medical experiments through a front in New York City called, of all things, the Society for the Protection of Human Ecology.
You hear that shit? They funneled the money under the name the Protection of Human Psychology. Freaking gross. Like, if you heard about this study into the protection of human psychology, you probably wouldn't think it was bad. It surely doesn't sound bad. It sounds like they want to protect us and help us.
Mm-hmm. Well, even the Mental Health Institute also funded MKUltra.
Which one? This one they just showed?
Mental Health Institute, yeah.
Ugh. Oh, Rose of Sharon, I'm picking up what you're laying down. We could look at so many avenues just from this one discussion. It's crazy. It is crazy. And if you look at the 60s, you got to look at everything. The assassination of Kennedy, going to the moon. You got Manson.
Ted Kaczynski.
Oh my gosh. The Unabomber, you guys, was also part of this study. The Unabomber. Yep. The Unabomber. He was in Harvard University, right? Where he started to participate in a study. Ted Kaczynski. He was a genius. They ruined him.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
That the agency had been impressed with earlier work done at McGill in sensory deprivation, work that was useful in designing sophisticated torture techniques later on. But at the time, brainwashing looked even more promising, and Dr. Cameron was the perfect one to carry out the work, an American citizen with a world-class reputation operating outside of the United States. Dr. Cameron certainly had the credentials. At various times, president of the Canadian, the American, and even the World Psychiatric Association.
Yikes.
These are the days and hours are the occasions.
In an address to colleagues from around the world, Cameron showed that he certainly knew the potential of the human mind, for good and bad.
And it is his mind no less, which may destroy mankind.
Val Orlico came to the Allen for her postpartum depression.
Everybody in the hospital was very much in awe of Dr. Cameron, and he strode the halls like a giant. And people would say, oh, there but for God goes God. And to me, I thought, how could he possibly ever take me for a patient? Who am I? I mean, this great man who's done all these marvelous things. And boy, I better work hard, and I better do everything that he tells me to do. And, you know, I don't want to lose this opportunity to get well.
Like Mrs. Orlico, Mrs. Janine Huard of Montreal came to Dr. Cameron depressed after childbirth. The depression was made worse by a hearing problem that coincided with the birth of her child. She, too, was in awe of Dr. Cameron.
He was a very, very impressive man. And I was told he was the best doctor in North America. So he would look at you a few minutes, ask you a few questions, and then proceed with the treatments.
But I never saw him once in all the times that I saw him that I wasn't afraid. Every time I went down to his office, I would shake with fear. And every time I'd see him coming down the hall, I'd shake with fear. But I adored him.
Dr. Elliot Emanuel knew Cameron.
He was an authoritarian, ruthless, power-hungry, nervous, tense, angry man.
Sounds like great qualities in a physician, huh? A physician treating psychiatric conditions. Sounds great. He sounds really supportive.
Not very nice.
At Ravenscraig, Dr. Cameron went further with drugs and electric shock treatments than any of the U.S. researchers in the MK Ultra project dared. His aim was to wipe the mind clean. Then he would implant new messages by forcing the patient to listen to a hypnotic repetition as many as 250,000 times. This was called psychic driving. Most of the drugs used in the program were experimental, and some dangerous. There was the tranquilizer Artane, a paralysis-inducing anectine, and curare, which pygmies tipped their arrows with to paralyze victims. Bulbocapnan, another experimental tranquilizer, and lysergic acid diethylmide.
What's a pygmy? Can someone tell me? Hey, Charisse Prophet in the house. What is a pygmy? Whatever that chemical is, they said that a pygmy uses it to stun their victims.
Tranquilizer
Artane.
Oh, sorry. There you are.
I had to wait for it to end. They're like indigenous people of like Africa and Asia.
Oh. So they would put that in their arrows?
Yeah.
And they're giving it to postpartum moms because why? I mean, what would they? That's crazy. If they would have told me this, if I was like one of those ladies and they would have been like, okay, we're using this shit that the pygmies use and we're using this and this, I've been like, no. But they didn't tell them, did they?
They didn't tell them shit.
They didn't tell them shit.
And they trusted them. They thought they were going to be helped.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you heard that lady. Oh boy, why would he pick me?
Yeah, like they felt lucky to even be there.
Who am
So
I?
they're not going to question anything.
No. And she said
made them feel special.
What, Heather?
They were very optimistic. They were like, "Yeah, he
can help
me."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, imagine being so desperate and stuff, and then suddenly there's someone who can really help you. Like they're not going to ask any questions. They're just going to be thankful that they were even there.
Yep.
And I've been there. I
Sad.
had a lot of anxiety after I had my first child. And I don't know if it was like because I was so young and, didn't know what I was doing, or if it was hormonal or a little bit of both. But I didn't necessarily have depression. I had a lot of panic attacks. And I think it was due to like a hormonal imbalance. And I think that's what you see in, postpartum depression as well, is a hormonal imbalance. And that's why, antidepressants are given to kind of balance that out. I don't know. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's
Well, they're
something
using
so
really
simple.
vulnerable people. They use really vulnerable people who aren't going to ask questions.
Exactly, Tato.
And now I know back then they weren't so big on like, bonding with your baby type thing. But back then the mother was the sole caregiver. Usually the mother was at home and the father was working. So who took care of her baby?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Did they have the babies with them?
Right. They never did mention their babies. They never
That's
did.
crazy if they
Vet
did.
girl, thank you so much. She says, I will match J for J super chats and donate to the Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. God bless Kentucky. That's so awesome. If you guys super chat tonight, she is going to match those super chats and donate to the Kentucky Flood Relief. That's so nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very nice. Thank you, Vet Girl. So anything that comes through, know that you will be giving to the Kentucky floods, which was really, really sad. Did you guys see that on the news?
Yes, it's horrible.
Unbelievable when things like that happen out of the clear blue like that, They're in, Charisse Prophet says that pygmies are in Africa.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, they are short.
So they're
very
little,
short.
they're like little people.
Yeah, they're very short.
Why don't I know this?
I don't know. It's a random fact.
Yeah.
It really is. How do we do that? Just if you super chat me, she's going to match it in her donation to Kentucky. I think that's what she meant. If I'm understanding that correctly. She's saying whatever comes in tonight, she'll match. So thank you, Vet Girl. So not only are you supporting the stream, you're supporting Kentucky at the same time.
There goes Mike Sanner.
Oh, Mike Sanner. I got to give him a fart. Because, that's his sound bite here. He picked it. I think that was, right when JB started talking, JB had a little gas. Excuse yourself, JB. That was very rude. JB says, excuse me. She is. It's very generous. Can Ahmad drop the Kentucky Governor's Relief Fund link, please and thanks? Okay, let's keep going. Google fingers. Show us what other chemicals were in this cocktail.
Paralysis-inducing anectine and curare, which pygmies tip their arrows with to paralyze victims. Bulbocapnan, another experimental tranquilizer, and lysergic acid diethylmide, the hallucinogen LSD. Craig, Mrs. Orlico waited for her first treatment.
Thank you, Rose of Sharon, and thank you, Lori Staggs.
Oh, I saw a tray with hypodermic, with a needle, a syringe, and the card on it had my name, so I looked a little more closely, and it was lysergic acid diethylamide, and my husband was a druggist, and I knew a lot of drugs, but I'd never heard of that one. And so I phoned a friend, and who was a psychiatric nurse.
Okay, this lady is like way ahead of her time because this is what we would have done, except we would have Googled, right? We would have seen what these drugs were and been like, okay, we're Googling this shit. Well, her husband was a druggist, and they had never heard of this before. I don't know how he's a druggist and a member of parliament. That's interesting to me. But anyways, I can't remember what I was going to say. Thank you, Snow. Hang on, maybe this will refresh my memory.
A lot of drugs, but I'd never heard of that one.
Oh, yeah.
And
so she phoned a friend, like she was ahead of Regis Philbin, when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire said, do you want to phone a friend? She phoned a friend and said, what are these drugs? And listen to what her friend, who worked for a psychiatrist, said.
So I phoned a friend and who was a psychiatric nurse, and I said, do you know what it is? And she said, I never heard of it. But she had a friend who was a psychiatrist. So she phoned her friend, and she called me back, and she said, he said that this stuff causes poisonous psychosis. She said he said not to take it. Well, I thought, he's a very Freudian psychiatrist and doesn't believe in any medication of any kind. And after all, here's Dr. Cameron. I mean, he's the big doctor, and he's known all over the world, and he wouldn't do anything that would harm me, etc. And so I took the injection, but I didn't like it. And it really did create a poisonous psychosis.
LSD, with all its frightening mental images, was scarcely known at the time. But the CIA secretly brought some in from Switzerland, where it had just been developed.
The room became very distorted, and I thought my bones were all melting. And I just wanted to scream that I wanted to get out of there. And I saw the squirrels outside, and I thought, they're not the squirrels, I'm the squirrel. I'm in this cage, and I can't get out. And I started to throw myself from side to side in the room. And
Terrifying.
I couldn't write. They had given me a pencil and paper and asked me to write down, but I couldn't write. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't focus. I don't know. It was like some kind of funny hell I'd fallen into, and I couldn't get out. And I don't know how long that went on. It was just a terrible nightmare. And I just felt that my life was threatened. I could never go back to what I'd been.
Robert Logie of Vancouver was 18 when he came to the Allen complaining of trembling and severe leg pains, diagnosed as psychosomatic. Like Mrs. Orlico and Mrs. Huard, he had no inkling he was to be part of a CIA experiment.
The LSD was very horrifying, and they gave it to me for about 12 or 15 times. One minute I would see the doctor there, the next minute I wouldn't see him there, and they were asking me all kinds of questions, and I remember them telling me that I was getting smaller and smaller, and I really felt myself getting smaller. And they were bringing me back in time, way back, At one point I almost felt like I was just about to be born. Really, that far back in memory, and they were really probing, asking all kinds of questions, and I felt I didn't have any control. I had to answer. I didn't feel I had any control. I was completely, like they had complete control over me.
Mrs. Huard, like the others, was forced to pay for the so-called treatment, massive electric shocks, and all the drugs.
They would give me as much as 40 pills a day. And I would ask the nurse, what is that? They would say it's a new drug, and they only name it by a number.
What did all those drugs do to you? How did they make
you
feel?
I was very, very strong, well-powered. So these drugs kind of desensitize me. They would lower my reactions. They would lower my resistance.
As well as the experimental drugs
and that's what they wanted to do to the enemy, right? Was lower the resistance, make them unable to fight back.
Massive electric shock treatments, Mrs. Huard was subjected to psychic driving. Hypnotic-like messages were repeated over and over to a sleeping patient, sometimes for as long as 16 hours in a row. They were a key part of the mind control experiment. This is how Mrs. Huard remembers one of the messages.
Why are you running away from your responsibilities, Janine? Why, Janine? Why? Janine, why are you running away from your responsibilities, Janine?
I would try very strongly not to let my mind be capturing all the messages, but they would lower my resistance so much with the heavy drugs, but I couldn't do otherwise than listen.
Did you ever ask them how any of this was making you better?
No, I didn't ask question. I was just say, I don't want to go through it again. And I would cry. I didn't want it to, you know. I knew it. Way down in my heart, I knew it wasn't good. But, you know, how could you fight? You're in a hospital where it's supposed to be the best, with the best doctors. So, what can you do?
I'd say, I can't take it anymore. I can't stand it. I don't think this is doing me any good. I feel worse. And he'd walk down the hall a little way with me and put his arm on my shoulder. And come on now, lassie, you know you're going to do it. And finally I'd say, well, okay. And off we'd go to my room and he would give me another injection and then pat me on the shoulder and off he'd be again. I had LSD, I believe, a total of 14 times. And sometimes there would be 4 days between the injections, and sometimes there would be one consecutive day after the other. And some of them I managed to write down things in my notes to Dr. Cameron.
A newly declassified
April Dawn, a member for 23 months. In Malagata, a member for 20 months. Thank you guys. I love you guys.
CIA document shows there was at least one voice of protest at the agency as the experiment.
Now look at the year. 1955. This is well before the Manson murders and all of that, right?
Yep, way before.
So it brings me to, Jay, why are we watching all this stuff on postpartum depression and Canada and the CIA, you ask? Well, because would it be far-fetched to think that Charles Manson could have been a subject, being that he was only 9 years old and institutionalized from that age forward? Like, he would be the perfect one for them to study, because who's going to find them out? Who's going to care? Who did care?
No one, apparently.
No one. So, I mean, I think that it's a pretty plausible theory. I'm not saying it happened, but he sure was an intelligent man, considering, how he's been portrayed to us over the years. I think that, going through this series has opened my mind to the fact that he wasn't just some crazy lunatic who got a bright idea. But when you hear about the effects the LSD had on these normal people, and you think about the Manson girls and them taking it, being young, impressionable, wanting to fit in somewhere. I mean, these people literally lost who they were. So I can see both sides of it. I can see where it could go deeper. But I could see where, it could be just a surface level thing that he got into. But the fact that he didn't really do the drugs, he was more about administering them.
Yep.
Is really interesting, because he may not have even realized what was going on until maybe he was older. I mean, they could keep close eyes on him, couldn't they?
Yeah, there is the connection between Manson and MK Ultra stuff that was happening as well at Haight-Ashbury. When he was out of prison with his parole officer. So there is a direct link.
What happened
as well? So when he was in and out of prison, he had a parole officer called Roger Smith, and he did drug research at Haight-Ashbury. And Haight-Ashbury was the clinic that was funded by Mental Health Institute, as well as, after they had funded MK Ultra, they funded this
yes.
Haight-Ashbury clinic.
The hippie
And
pad.
I forgot
the
about the
hippie pad.
clinic.
Yeah, and it was run by, what's his name? Charlie. Oh, what's his name? Charlie White? Is that his name?
I don't know. Hold on.
His
We've
name's
talked
Charlie
about this
anyway.
so much.
Yeah, his name's Charlie.
There's too many Charlies.
I know, there's a lot. So this parole officer, Roger Smith, was doing drug research. He'd take Manson to the Haight-Ashbury clinic, and there were also some of his followers that went there as well. Because this
good
Charlie,
God.
yeah, this Charlie, I'm sure it's Charlie White.
It's West. Charlie West.
Starts with a W.
Oh,
he created this.
Is it Jolly
hippie pad.
West?
Charlie West.
No,
yes.
Jolly. Did they call him Jolly? Jolly?
I don't know.
Okay, because there's that's a connection to Oklahoma City bombing. Jolly West was a mind control person. Okay.
Ooh.
It might be him. That might be his real name, and then he went by Jolly.
Oh, there is connection to Oklahoma as well, so that's weird.
Who?
With Charlie West.
A connection
Anyway.
a connection with who? Say that again slowly.
The Oklahoma bombing stuff.
Yeah, Jolly West. Yes, I know him by Jolly.
No,
He went
that's
to
a different
UCLA.
guy.
Oh, Jolly West is a different.
Charlie West went to UCLA and was like the head of psychiatry and stuff. And then Stephen Garnett Colburn was also educated at UCLA as a chemist.
How are they connected to OKC?
Because they went to UCLA. They both went there.
But
so it's just a weird coincidence.
But wait, what does that have to do with Oklahoma City?
Because Stephen Garnett was educated there as well. So Charlie West went to UCLA and he became the head of psychiatry. And then Stephen Garnett went there later and he was educated in chemistry. And it's just the fact that they both went to the same place.
Yeah, this all ties together.
It's just weird. It's just weird.
It is. It's
but then when
really
you said
weird.
that, I was like, oh no, that's kind of strange.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna get into that, the whole McVeigh thing and his status.
Oh my gosh. He had that Jolly West guy.
Yeah.
This goes deeper.
Yeah.
He had interactions with Charlie Manson. His name is Lewis, by the way. So it's a different person.
So there's two West that were involved in them. Okay.
Yeah.
So
He
I'm
was
talking about
also
Jolly.
with Jack Ruby from Ruby Ridge.
Yeah, he's had all kinds. Yes, he's all in like the 90s, the Oklahoma City, Ruby Ridge. There was one other one.
This is okay.
Yeah, it goes deep. We'll get into that when we go into Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City, Waco, Ruby Ridge, those all kind of tie together as well.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, they all tie in with the World Trade Center starting in 93, the bombing in 93. Those all to me coincide. And it's a lot. It's a fuck of a lot, man. But, it's eye-opening and it's interesting. And I don't know. The whole Russia connection, though, in the 60s is frightening because, explain this to me because this is something from history that I've never really understood. So Russia was the U.S. arch enemy, right? In the 60s is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
Okay. So why were we traveling there? Why were people, musicians and stuff, not to tour, but why were they going to Russia so much? Why was it so open for us to travel there? Because it's not now, but even before the Ukraine attack, I would have never went to Russia. So why were people traveling to and fro from Russia back then it was the hip thing to do? Do we know? Anyone?
I don't know. It's the same thing. Were people traveling to Iraq and Afghanistan when we were in active war with them?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, Ruby. I know Boots. I don't know. I just don't understand what they were doing because I know in the Reagan era too, it was we weren't fans of Russia. But I don't know why people were traveling there.
I don't think we've ever been fans of Russia, really.
So Boots is saying USSR, like Ukraine, not all is Russia.
Yeah.
Is that true?
USSR, yeah, before it broke up, it was a bunch of countries that are countries now.
Ah. Huh. Back in the USSR.
Not the Beatles.
You don't know how lucky you are, boy. What'd you call? What was that thing we looked into? Fall, the fake Paul, Potato put Heather J and I in a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know.
Potato said
that was accidental.
The fake George.
Is Paul McCartney alive or dead? We were like, what are you talking about? He's still living.
I can't even remember how I got onto that stuff. What was I looking at?
I don't know.
I cannot remember.
I don't know,
slipped
but you
into a hole, and then I
yeah,
dragged
and you
in.
brought us.
And then we started looking into the fake Paul that I had never heard
it's a
this
big
theory that
thing.
he died ever. I thought you meant like, did he die now? Like we were like, no, he didn't die. He didn't die. You know?
No, back in the 60s.
But I'll tell you what, that guy that they said looked like him, it did look like him.
Well, I mean, that's because the Queen made him. After all.
Okay, Vet Girl is schooling us right now. History 101 from Vet Girl RWB. Thank you. She said Reagan broke the USSR up, and that is how Ukraine became a country. I never knew that. I feel really dumb, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like history in that really bored me in high school. I was like, I didn't find it interesting. Now I do, and now I'm kind of relearning. Is that dumb? It is.
No,
it's not.
It's always good to keep learning.
I mean, I just got bits and pieces, you know. If it didn't interest me, I totally tuned it out. So I'm really loving learning all of this along with you guys. I mean, there's things we can't all know everything anyways.
No, it's impossible.
So, all right, let's get back to Google Fingers. We're going to get back. We got a little off track. We're on to Tim McVeigh and we're on to the Beatles and we're singing. I know. Well, we're going to get back because I
didn't even finish the first thing. I can't even remember.
It was 1995, right? It was 1995 or 1955 rather. Not 1995. I'm still on the Oklahoma City bombing.
Leave that for another day, Jay.
But I can't. Okay.
I know you can't.
So we're back in 1955. Let's get our brains back. Leave it to the beaver and R.I.P. Tony Dow. Tony Dow passed away.
Did he really? I thought they said that he did.
He was on hospice and he wasn't dead. And then as soon as they reported that he was still alive, he passed. Rain, what are you talking about? You loved history? See, I love it now, but I didn't like it in high school. I felt it was boring, and they always played these videos that were like so boring with like weird, like you'd watch, remember in high school, you'd watch those movies, they'd wheel in, like Heather, probably not for you, but they would wheel in the TVs on the carts and we would watch, you know, we're going to watch a video on like, you know, whatever, the Revolutionary War or some shit, something that you could not relate with when you're in high school. And then they have like these little flutes in the background as like the soldiers, and it's like cartoon soldier, and it's like stupid, or like drawings, and you're just like, but now I live for it. I love learning. That's why I'm so mind blown, because I don't know a lot of this stuff that went on. So thank God I have smart people around me. Dude, what is Rain Crass talking about? Oh, Ange, I don't feel so alone. Julie Labrador and Lori Staggs remember the TVs.
Yeah, I do as well. We used to have them too.
I was like, sweet. The lights are getting turned off.
Best day ever.
Yeah. Oh my God, best day ever, because it was movie day. We didn't have to listen, or we didn't have to say anything. Well, that's cool, Sharon. You must have learned a lot. Maureen was a history major in college. But you know, think about it this way though. Like high school and college textbooks only teach you so much, only teach you whatever is allowed to be in those textbooks. So like you may not really learn about this.
No.
I doubt they went over this in school. Maybe in college, but I'm not sure. So many of us are blind to that it even happened. Seems like this should be basic history 101 in my opinion, especially in government class. I mean, the CIA, when they began, this would be a really important story. But we wouldn't want to spotlight their mistakes, would we?
Nope.
Got underway. One agent wrote, "Does Project Officer approve these immoral and inhuman tests? I suggest that all who are in favor of the above intended operation volunteer."
Yeah, okay, that's where we left off. This is an email that came through, not an email, but a memo that came through after they explained what their mission was, what they were doing with this program.
One
agent actually had some morals, and this is what they wrote back.
"Does Project Officer approve these immoral and inhuman tests? I suggest that all who are in favor of the above intended operation volunteer their heads for use in Dr. So-and-so's noble project." The names were deleted. In her hospital room, a terrified Mrs. Orlico tried to hide like a child at the sound of Dr. Cameron's approaching footsteps.
I heard him coming, and I hid in the washroom in my room. And I thought, well, I'll go and sit on the toilet. Nobody will see me. Anyhow, that didn't work because he knocked on the door, and he said, "Now, come on, Lassie, you know you're in there, and come on, you come out and let me give you your injection." And I said, "No, I'm not taking any more injections. I can't do it. I don't care if I die. I can't do it anymore because this is killing me, and that's all there is to it. I can't do it." Well, he wasn't very happy about it. And, however, after a little discussion, he turned on his heel and left the room.
The electric shock treatments were administered on an unprecedented scale. It was called de-patterning. The mind was short-circuited so the psychic driving hypnotic messages could be planted on a clean slate. There is now no known use of electric shocks on such a scale, even in Soviet mental asylums where political crimes are punished.
I was there for a while, and I thought, I don't want to stay here, and I started to run away from the hospital, and they grabbed me, and then they put me on sleep treatment. And now they kept you asleep for 23 days.
23 days. They kept this. What? And he went in there originally for like knee pain or some shit.
And while I was asleep, they were shocking the heck out of me with electric shocks and playing tapes.
There was another lady who had the same kind of psychic driving that I did, and she was a very wiry, slender lady, and with lots of pep and zip, you know, and she'd go to the dances and this and that. And one day she just wasn't there. And when we asked where she went, they said, "Oh, well, you know, she's gone to another hospital." Well, sometime later, I was in the day hospital, and I happened to ask a nurse if she'd heard what had happened to this lady. And she said, "Oh, that's her sitting over there." And I looked, and there was a fat lady that just looked like she was made out of dough. She didn't know me. She didn't know herself. What? She didn't know anybody. She was gone. Now that's a death.
Did you ever try and get away from there? Did you ever say, "I'm just not going back"?
I tried. I was home for the weekend. And I had a pass for the weekend. That's how they call it. So when I was there, I said, "I'm not going back there." So I telephoned, or somebody else in the house telephoned, and they said, "If you're not coming back, we're sending the police after you." So I remember being so upset. I was crying. What? I didn't want to go in. And it was really, like a concentration camp.
You hear that? What the hell?
Are you ready for this? You can't make this stuff up. I don't want to sound creepy. Well, you just sounded creepy.
Oh my God, Boots. I know she looked like dough.
That's crazy.
Betty's little Betty. Betty's gonna be a man someday.
Isn't that nuts?
We'll have the police come and get you.
We'll have the police come get you. You have a freaking
Yes,
choice.
scary. Threatening her.
Very scary. Like, I don't want to go
Exactly.
back there. And you hear it from all three people just in these, little clips I found that the guy was trying to run away. The one lady didn't want to go back. She got a pass to go home. Right, Tuesday? She got a pass to go home.
Creep town, dude.
And didn't want to go back. And then the other lady hid in the bathroom, even though she knew he would know exactly where she was.
I mean, she didn't have many options. She just knew she wanted out and not to be stabbed with these needles anymore.
So scary.
Carol, you have a really good point. Carol Hartung says, wait, was she tripping when she saw the dough woman?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, yeah, because I was thinking about that. She's like, she was so slender and all this and that. And she looked like fat, like a pile of dough. I bet she was tripping. Because she said that her bones felt like they were melting.
Yeah. And isn't she the one who said she saw squirrels, but she thought she was a squirrel?
Yep.
She was tripping a lot.
The freaking squirrels. She said, I'm a squirrel. I'm a squirrel in this cage. Yeah.
Gosh.
Why squirrels?
She saw them.
Okay, this is in Canada. Whoever asked, Meep. This is in Canada. I think this is Montreal or something. Winnipeg.
I can't believe they kept that guy asleep for 23 days.
23 days.
That's
crazy.
I guess that's what you get when you misbehave. He tried to run away.
For knee pain.
I know. I know.
What?
I don't know. Really freaking scary. And that's against your will. You know what I mean? It's not like, look at Lori Staggs. It's not like they had the choice. Like, okay, they were like, fuck no, these people are finishing this damn study because we were already made it this far. He was not gonna let them go.
There was a gentleman who jumped off the roof of the Allen. I don't think he had LSD, but he had sleep therapy with psychic driving, with the driving tapes under his pillow. And they told him he was going to go home. And he'd just come out of sleep therapy. And he just jumped. He went around, big smile on his face, said goodbye to everybody, went up on the roof and jumped off and landed at the back door of the Allen, which was a dreadful, awful thing. I don't think he was more than 30. And he was just gone. Just gone. And there
Just gone.
was a big washed area at the back door. Nobody would go in and out of that back door for a long time. And everybody in the hospital spoke in hushed tones, and everybody was affected. They would not talk about it. It was as though it did not happen.
In 1973, all
do you think-
MK Ultra.
Not to laugh, but do you guys think that Val is still tripping? I wonder what her personality was like prior to this. Like, her daughter actually fought for her, and she did get the 50 grand or whatever it was, and then filed another lawsuit. There's a lawsuit. I don't know what happened with it. I think it was an undisclosed settlement, of course, but at any rate, I wonder if her personality actually changed. You know how like some of those people, they said that. All right, let's keep going.
In 1973, all MK Ultra files under the control of the Technical Services Division chief of the CIA were ordered destroyed by the director, Richard Helms.
Oh, Richard Helms.
It's
Google
difficult
Richard
to
Helms.
destroy everything, and the damning evidence of the Cameron Project surfaced after a Freedom of Information Act suit. It revealed Mrs. Orlico had reason for her nightmares and her doubts.
I've heard that it was the most brutal program under MK Ultra in the States and in Canada, that this was the most brutal. It was an awful feeling to realize when I found this out that the man whom I had thought cared about what happened to me didn't give a damn. I was a fly, just a fly.
Her husband, David Orlico, NDP Member of Parliament for 22 years, remembers the cost.
We had Blue Cross coverage, but we didn't have, but Blue Cross did not cover treatment in a mental hospital. So what we did after the first year was to sell the house, which was really the only money that we had. And my daughter and I moved in with Al's mother, and we stayed there.
You hear this? This ruined their lives. Blue Cross didn't pay for it. They had Blue Cross, but it didn't cover it. So they had to sell their home to pay for this treatment that fucked up their lives. It makes me sick. And then they throw them $50K and they're like, oh, here you go.
Almost 3 years.
$50K is nothing.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's
Nothing.
absolutely disgusting. I mean, this guy looks like he's lived through hell. I mean, look at him.
I know you see the bags under his eyes.
Oh my God. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
My daughter and I moved in with Al's mother, and we stayed there almost 3 years. It was tough, but the financial cost was really a small part of the cost. If you're talking about cost, it really disrupted our lives.
Mrs. Orlico sued the Allen Memorial Institute, and last year it quietly settled out of court for $50,000. Robert Logie was later given cortisone treatment for the pains in his leg that brought him to the Allen in the first place. It worked, but his mind is a different story. He now has joined with Mrs. Orlico, Madame Huard, and 6 other Canadians in a massive lawsuit against the United States government. They contend that they sought treatment and instead were made unwitting victims of CIA experiments. The 9 Canadians are seeking $1 million apiece in damages from the U.S. government. The CIA intimidates many American law firms, but this case is being fought by a lawyer who defended Lillian Hellman and Arthur Miller during the McCarthy witch hunts for communists. In preparation, the lawyers have interrogated every CIA agent involved in MK Ultra.
Okay, this is fascinating to me. These lawyers managed to interview every single CIA agent that was involved in this program. How did they do that? But they did. And just listening to their conversation, this is the senior lawyer and then his junior lawyer. But it's interesting what they say about all of this. So listen closely. These are the lawyers that defended the victims,
including former director Helms. With the trial expected to start soon, Joseph Raw sums up the case with his junior partner, James Turner.
What we get out of Gittinger? John Gittinger is the former CIA staff agent who testified that at his request, the CIA contacted Cameron and informed him that a front in New York would support his work. As a result of that, Cameron received CIA funds to finance the LSD and brainwashing experiment.
In other words, Cameron, all he did was what the CIA was in effect asking him to do.
Yeah.
And what he said he was going to do, and he did it. And
then they paid him money for it.
And then what about Gottlieb now? We got a lot of stuff out of Gottlieb. Here's one of his depositions. We got him. I take it. He said, I'm going to wash my hands of this. I'm approve the project, but I don't have to take care of the Canadian citizens who are going to be affected. Is that fair?
That's fair. He admitted that they took no steps whatsoever to guarantee that people wouldn't be injured if it could be avoided, or to make sure that people even knew that they were participating in an experiment.
Well, this guy Gottlieb's got quite a record, doesn't he, on negligent action ahead of time. I mean, before this ever...
He was personally involved in an experiment that resulted in the death of a U.S. Army.
Is that the one where they put the LSD in the Cointreau of a guy named Olson?
Yeah, and then he jumped out of a window and committed suicide in New York City. They managed to cover that up, too.
I like a man who was general counsel of the CIA. His name's Larry Houston. And at that time, he said this was culpable negligence. He was a general counsel. And they went on, left a guy on the job who had been guilty, according to their own lawyer, of culpable negligence. What about Helms? We took his deposition, too. It's right here.
Yeah, it's an awful thick deposition. He didn't remember a whole lot. There's a major case of forget-me's. The only thing that we really got out of him was that he instructed Gottlieb, the CIA's Dr. Gottlieb, to destroy the records.
When the story broke about the covert CIA activities on Canadian soil, the United States sent a formal apology to the Trudeau government. But External Affairs Minister Alan McEachern has refused to release that document to Mrs. Orlico and the others in the lawsuit. This declassified State Department letter shows why. Addressed to the Canadian Embassy, it reads, "This is with reference to your request for the views of the U.S. intelligence community concerning possible release by the Canadian government of certain documents relating to the Orlico matter. Your request was given careful review, on the basis of which it has been requested that the Canadian government withhold from public disclosure the documents in question."
We've moved heaven and earth to get the correspondence and the documents and the discussions between the Canadian government and the United States. The United States won't give it to us because they're covering up their wrong. The Canadian government won't give it to us because they're scared of the United States government. Both of them are holding back all of the information about this. I think the case could be broken if the Canadian government would say to the CIA, we're not going to cover up for you any longer. We're going to allow this, we're going to give this material to Mr. Orlico for his case.
Well, if the Canadian government has this apology from the U.S., why in the world do you think they wouldn't release it?
Oh, I just think the Canadian government's a little bit like international wimps in the case of the United States. I don't know why they're so scared of us. We're not going to do anything. I don't think the 7th Army is going to attack Montreal because you give us that material.
I understand, though, that the American position is that this kind of CIA material can't be released for national security reasons. Maybe that's true.
Well, security, my neck. First, the CIA, everything they forget. Then when they have to stop forgetting, because it's ludicrous, then they say it's all national security. What is national security about the apologies of the United States to Canada? They get very belligerent, the Canadians, with the Russians when they shoot down the 007 with some Canadian citizens. But when the CIA covertly does something to all the citizens, ruined the lives of many of these citizens, well, the Canadian government is doing nothing. I don't know why.
Canada made forceful representation.
I mean, what a point to make. You know, there was Canadian citizens on a 007 that the Russians shot down or whatever, and the Canadians had a fit. He's like, where's their outrage for what the U.S. did to their people? Good point.
On behalf of the Toronto businessman who was kidnapped by bounty hunters taken back to Florida. That wouldn't indicate that they're afraid to make a ruckus down here.
That was a pretty easy situation. I mean, my God, you kidnap a Canadian and take him to the United States, heavens above. And furthermore, who do you have to fight there? A couple of bounty hunters. Here you're fighting the CIA. That scares Canada.
I'm surprised that...
What's this bounty hunter thing about? I've never heard this story. I know he says, security, my neck. It's great.
I like this guy.
But what's he I do too. What's he talking about? Bounty hunters found someone kidnapped and was brought to Florida? I'm like, what?
I have no idea. I've never heard of that.
I promise I'll look into it and I'll report the next live. I'll let you guys know what it is. Because now I'm curious. Where'd they find him in Florida? Fort DeSoto Park? I'm having,
Tahachi.
wow.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow. Groovy. I just had a flash. like, oh.
Like, wow.
If your case is as strong as you say, that the American government isn't trying to get an out-of-court settlement, pay out a bunch of money and just hope it'll go away.
When the CIA went into this brainwashing stuff, what they call the MK Ultra program, when they went into that, they injured lots more people than the 9 we are suing for. They injured a great many other people.
Here in the United States?
Here in the United States. They may feel that they've got so many skeletons in their closet that settling with us, even though we're clearly right and they would like it to go away, would hurt them as a precedent. I can't think of any other reason that they're being so really rough on us. If I were in charge of a government to whom 9 citizens that we are suing for have been brainwashed without their knowing, have had their lives impaired, and have it done by a foreign agency, undercover without the government of Canada knowing it, I would find a way to help those people instead of hindering them.
We tried to ask External Affairs Minister McEachin why the government of Canada is not helping these Canadian citizens who are victimized by agents of another country. But for more than 2 months, Mr. McEachin has been unavailable to discuss the matter.
What do you want to tell Mr. McEachin, for example?
McEachin.
About what happened to you? How you feel about it now?
I would tell him to try what we've been through and see what he would have to say after. Because only when you go through such an experience, one can say how bad it can be and how painful.
I'd say, come on, get off your horse and help us. We need some help from our government. We are innocent victims of something that happened that should never have been. And you can't make it. You can't put us back where we were. But at least do something to help us now. Do something to stand up and say this can't happen in Canada.
All right, so that concludes that portion of the mind control and MK Ultra. And someone brought up something really interesting in the chat that I want to address because they talk about all this stuff with Russia. Hang on, let me bring you guys back. But they talk about all this stuff with Russia, right? Now, I haven't had a chance to report on it, even though I want to, was that, yikes, Ashley, we have 2 Russian supposed or alleged spies.
Yeah.
That have been arrested.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So they were arrested there was 2 in Hawaii, but since I have showed you guys that, check this out. There was a huge press conference in St. Pete today. And the FBI was here. The CIA was here. And there is a Russian who was living in St. Pete who was supposedly infiltrating people to believe in his regime or whatever that means. They didn't really say. Yeah, they would not answer many questions. I thought maybe we could go over all this Russian stuff tomorrow, since we all have been victims in chat rooms of the Russian bots.
The Russians.
And now you're living with them, apparently.
I thought that,
yes, they're right there.
They're right here. So today, oh my gosh. So, apparently they were infiltrating the elections. This was a 7-year-long
7 years?
7 years. Infiltrating the elections. They actually, in 2019, had a candidate that in exchanges of emails or messages between this man and Russia, calling this candidate their candidate. That
is
is
so
some
scary.
scary ass shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, damn is right. And I was like, what? And I'm like, why is all of this suddenly coming out? Why are we, finding these two spies, 2 days ago in Hawaii who have been there how many years? I think like 3 decades. They have lived there, and get this. The wife of the couple in Hawaii was a member of the Coast Guard. And guess where the husband was working when he was arrested? He was a contractor for the Department of Defense.
Oh,
no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
They had maps of all the military bases. So, like, this
Oh my
expert was
God.
saying, they know our routines. They know what we do, how we do things.
That's some crazy infiltration going on right there.
I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah, I don't either. And when I saw St. Pete, I was like, holy. So, yeah, I figured I got to cover that. I've got a list of so many things that, I want to cover. But April Dawn said they can be subliminally trained to assassinate people. So, yeah, I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. Like, that's what they wanted to be able to do was, train these assassins and then wipe the slate clean so they would not, remember it. But now
like with
we're in a whole nother generation of what they could be used for brainwashing. Like, for example, that article that I showed you guys like a week ago where they were using sound waves to brainwash people.
They did it in Cuba too, with our contractors over there, our government contractors.
Sound wave, you guys. I love music. I don't want them to infiltrate my music.
Yeah.
Damn it. Damn it all. See, that's where we're going to be like, oh my God, then we're only going to have digital music. And we're going to be like, they're going to be putting sound waves in there. So hang on to your vinyls. Hang on to your CDs.
Yes.
And hang on to your cassettes. Because any digital music that like Amazon, Apple, any of it, any of those subscriptions could be anything. And I'm not trying to be paranoid, but shit, they're doing it. I mean, I used to think MK Ultra people like, oh, what are you talking about? It's conspiracy. You're crazy. It really happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did. And what do young people listen to music and stuff on? It's all digital.
All digital.
Yep.
Everything's digital.
And it'll be happening. You don't even have a clue. Scary.
It really is. Okay, so I think we all need to like build a compound off grid in the mountains. And everybody bring your 8-tracks, your vinyls, your cassettes, and we'll just set it up like it's 1985 and we'll just stay there. We'll just
Like
perpetually live in 1985.
Okay, David Koresh.
Oh my God. I'm serious. Was he wrong?
No.
At the risk of sounding like a lunatic, was he wrong?
No, look what happened.
A little random fun fact before we go on to this next segment. I wasn't sure if I was going to go into this next segment. And I hope that Scotty Skulls is still here because this is his part with the drawing. I've been watching the Alex Jones trial. Have you guys been following it all?
I've watched some of it.
Yeah, here and there.
I'm intrigued, okay? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course I am. So I've been watching. So I started looking into, who's suing him now? Because now this is the first trial of 3. There's 2 more to come. And he's already been sued prior and found he defaulted on a couple lawsuits, I think a year or 2 ago. Yes, bring your VCRs. beta if you have them. That would be great. Make sure the TV has knobs.
Yeah,
Nothing with
gotta have the
buttons. No buttons.
Oh,
None.
I don't want to get up to change the channel.
No.
Yeah, I know.
There are knob TVs with clickers, and that's why they call the remote the clicker. Did you know that?
I thought that was a regional thing.
Clicker was because the buttons actually clicked. Like it was a clicker. That thing was heavy. It was beefy, and it clicked.
Beefy clicker. So anything that's tactile, you can bring along.
Yeah, they're loud and beefy.
Yes.
Bring your knobs and your clickers.
Tuesday says, I love Alex Jones's crazy ass. Oh,
Yeah,
you've been
he is
watching The Cruise
crazy.
Kid. Okay, so let me just tell you this real quick. So I was looking into who was suing Alex right now, and it's like this mom. And I don't know like the situation with the mom and the dad, because like they have different last names, and then the kid had her last name, not dad's. But apparently they were married when the kid died. I don't get it. But anyways, the dad has a different last name than the mom. The son it's Lewis, and he carries his mother's name, the kid that died. So I was looking into her because I didn't know who was suing Alex. So then I looked at her, and this boy, Lewis, that died, had a brother. And now the brother, when he was 19, ran for state senate. Objection.
In Connecticut?
What? So I looked, and he's a really nice looking kid. So I clicked on Google Images, and I saw this kid sitting at a table in a suit next to Robert Shapiro and Donald Trump.
What?
And I was like, what? So yeah, interesting. He's heavy
There's
into
a-
politics. I don't know if he won I don't know. I didn't get that far. I was like, abort mission.
Back out.
I saw Robert Shapiro and I saw Donald Trump with this lady's kid, and I was like, abort mission. I couldn't hit the X fast enough. So if anybody else wants to dig into that, be my guest. I'm all set. But not only that, the trial though itself is rather interesting. Day 2 ended pretty interesting with the lawyers arguing, and
Yeah.
Alex Jones is flipping the bird to the little leprechaun lawyer on the other side, who stands to make a pretty penny if he wins for his client. $150 million just for this one lawsuit.
Damn.
That's crazy.
That's the word of the night tonight.
Damn. For real though, I mean, this is one of 3. Plus he already lost, I think, 2 because he didn't give the court documents.
It's defaulted.
Yeah, he defaulted. But like they're trying to completely shut this man down. Why?
Yep. Yeah. They really are.
I mean, going to great lengths to shut him down.
Mm-hmm.
It's really rather scary.
They don't want him talking.
Mm-mm.
Don't talk. Don't ask questions.
Yes, I was watching some of the testimony. They had his producer up there, and then they had another host that hosted a show on his channel or his website or whatever. And they're playing clips of what they're claiming is defamatory. And like literally, why can't he talk about, I don't understand. I'm still at this crossroads of where free speech ends, because he has people on that have differing opinions and questions.
Yep.
And they want to shut him down. They're taking every penny he has.
Mm-hmm. And it's a slippery slope into literally muting everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he loses, then people are going to be too scared to talk about anything in case the same thing happens to them.
Yeah,
it's already
starting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then all you have is narratives and no questions.
Mm-hmm.
No, how dare you ask? How dare you ask? So now we're getting to, it's kind of interesting when you think about the whole Watts case and YouTube. on a smaller scale. So like YouTube creators are definitely not reaching, the audience that Alex Jones reaches, but you have it on a smaller scale. So they're saying, oh, he said it didn't happen, but my kid's dead. I want $150 million. What?
Yeah, 150 million.
I mean, what?
Crazy amount.
It doesn't even seem right. I mean, okay, so he's saying it didn't happen, and it did. Don't listen to him.
But a lot of these things happen like that. Something big will happen and they're like, nope, it's a hoax. People will come out of the woodwork, crisis actors. The same thing happened with Parkland. So, why him? Is it because he has the platform and that's it?
I think so. I think they see him as like, the main vessel that kind of trickles down. If they think if they shut him up, then it might trickle down and shut the little people up.
Yep.
Stop trying to silence everyone.
Like, would I dare, if he loses all these suits, would I dare, do a series on Sandy Hook and say, I don't think this shit happened. You know what I mean? Like,
you absolutely
hell
wouldn't.
no. Hell no.
Just like that organization that we talked about down in Clearwater. Nope, not touching that.
Yeah, nope.
Yep.
Abort.
Yep.
Just some things are not worth it because, and it's really scary that, they can put us in a position to be that paranoid.
Yeah, it's so wrong.
It show is. So are you guys ready to get to the next? But yeah, I want to talk about that. There's so many things I want to talk about. Is his trial. I got a whole list of things, and I feel like now there's not enough time in the day. I've got this whole list of things I want to do. It's like you go from one thing to the other. So lots going on and lots of trials coming up as well.
Yes, there are.
Interesting.
I mean, August, right around the corner, we got Dane Kalungi going on trial for murder in Colorado Springs. I think that's the first one coming up. So at any rate, I'm going to play this next thing. I don't know if I'm going to play it all the way through, but this is an interesting experiment. Now, this guy knew he was getting LSD, so it's totally different. And it kind of goes through the different stages, but he's the one that draws. He's an artist. So it's interesting to see an artist get, because, they say, oh, it makes you creative and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what it does for this fella. And yes, I said fella. Because I'm back in the 60s. Oh, Scott Peterson is in August too. Yep.
And Sherfree.
Oh, yeah, Sherfay.
Yeah.
And
Mr. Sherfay.
Yep. Megan goes back to court again.
Megan Boswell.
No, Faramuska.
Oh, Faramuska.
Oh.
I think Boswell, too, is coming up.
Oh, I didn't put her in the calendar. I don't know.
We haven't really followed that one, like, super close. We've just kind of been keeping, like, an eye on that one, honestly. Just because of the area. The area there in Hawkins County. We got any Hawkins Countyites in the house tonight? Can you guys see the screen yet? Did it pop up?
Not yet.
Not yet. I can't see it either. Oh, I've seen that, Meep. Meep. He or she said, watch the housewife get LSD.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
She's like,
no, me neither.
Oh, I see this and that. Like, it's funny. It's like June Cleaver on LSD.
I would freak out, honestly. I think.
Yeah, so would I.
Dude, I'm petrified of that shit. There is no way. There is no way that I want to take something that makes the walls breathe.
Yeah, I don't want to think I'm a squirrel.
Right. I don't want to think I'm a squirrel in a cage and I have to get out and I'm going to
Or
jump out a
and,
window. That would be me jumping
yeah.
out the window. Like, I can't
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Yeah.
And then
That's
it
the
wouldn't
worst thing.
stop.
Like,
You know?
you can't get away from what's in your head. Like, doesn't
No.
sound.
Nope.
No, I
Mhm.
just
Yeah, how do you
scary.
shut it off? And then think about this. When they were giving those ladies LSD and then like that one lady putting her into a sleep mode or whatever and then making her listen to those messages. Why are
Yeah.
you not taking care of your responsibility? Oh yeah, that's going to make you not depressed.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then trying to fight between what's your own thoughts and what's these subliminal thought thingies. Like, it's like they were creating some kind of battle inside their own minds.
My God. I mean, she was like, what'd she say? I was trying to not listen to it or,
Yeah.
not focus on it, but I couldn't do it. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Like they're
My
trapped
mind
in
is
their
bad
mind.
enough sober. I don't need to be stuck in it in an alternate reality.
For real. For real. But you guys, yeah, I see you're still talking about the trial. So it is on actually the court's Zoom every day. It's also on Law and Crime, but it is also on the court's own Zoom. Travis County. Isn't that the same county that Megan Faramuska's in?
Yep, it is.
Interesting.
She's hanging out with Alex Jones.
Right? Megan, all her greasiness.
Ew.
Yuck.
I know. Okay, so on to this experiment. Let's check this out. This is pretty crazy. It looks like it was done in the 60s.
Is not inhabited by the devil. The battery of psychological tests compressed into 4 short hours will not be shown here. Our attention will be focused on the experiences of our volunteer subject, Bill. It's exactly 12 o'clock and we're ready to start this experiment. I'm going to give you this cup that contains lysergic acid 100 microgram. Will you drink it? How did it taste?
It had no taste.
How did it look?
Colorless.
Now, would you tell me your name, please?
William Millark.
And what is your address?
3540 The Paseo, Los Angeles, 65.
And your age?
34.
I would like to ask you to describe me your profession.
I'm an artist.
Painter?
That's true.
Yes. So suppose we're going to ask Mr. Coates to come in here and act as the subject, and Mr. Mante, our technician, will give us your equipment.
Oh, surely.
And your charcoal, and here you are.
It's charcoal.
Ready to go.
Oh, fine.
Bill, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. How's this? That seems good. Just look over this way.
Live look at Scott Skulls on LSD.
So many of the changes produced by this drug
So this is
have
him
to be described verbally.
sober.
And here we have the advantage of an artist who is able to draw a sketch, and you can see all the changes just by simply
Nice sketch.
observing the various distortions that will take place in your own portrait. That's just about ready then, is that right?
Well, as far as I can go without distorting it too much.
All right, now let me see it. Let's show it to Paul. That's an excellent likeness, isn't it? 12:17. This is a good time to do the control EEG, so we go next door. In less than 2 hours, LSD will reach its climax. In most subjects, the alpha index drops, and the frequency analyzer will show the gradual emergence of the fast frequency bands. Single light flash will block the alpha waves for at least twice as long a period as it does now. It will modify each time the visual illusions Bill is expected to see as he lies in a dark cage with his eyes closed.
Looks really relaxing, doesn't it?
EEG abnormalities in a clinical sense are not expected. Now we'll go back to the other room. Before he sits down, he remarks that he begins to walk on air. Here and there, a forced, irrelevant giggle.
He's walking on air.
How do you feel? Well, I feel very fine. I feel very buoyant and light and resilient. I feel as though this chair is not as solid as it seems to be. I have a feeling that my hands are not resting against this chair, and I see flashes of color quite a bit. I see this rug, for example, seems to have an awful lot of the complements of violet and yellow. I see a lot of violets and yellows. Do you know what the exact color of this rug I assume that it is gray. You assume that it was gray? Yes. All right. Now, do you find any difference between one half of your body as opposed to the other half? Well, I have a sort of a wavering tendency. I don't know which half is trying to get into the other half, but somehow or other, and I seem to be going like that. One half.
He doesn't. I don't know. One half is trying to get into the other half. Tough Tiff, welcome to Roberta. Welcome back, Tough Tiff. Thank you,
Roberta. It's a very pleasant feeling of nausea.
A pleasant feeling of nausea.
Why did you laugh? Why did you laugh just now? Because the rug seems to be billowing, pulsating. Can you influence that pulsation? Hold your breath, for instance. Take a deep breath, hold it. Did you stop the pulsation? More or less. Now breathe out. Did it change again? Well, just it gets a little clever, that's all. Clever? Yes. In what way does the rug becomes clever? It seems to feel that I'm going to watch it. You have the feeling that the rug feels that you are watching it. Is that correct? No, well, somehow or other, I think for me that I'm left out of this experience. Well, I have the feeling that you're enjoying it with me. Well, I am enjoying it in a sense, yes. Would you give me a description of the first thing that you see with eyes closed, and then later on I will hand over a drawing board and try to draw a sketch of it, all right? Now close your eyes first. Close your eyes now. What do you see? Oh, right back. Go ahead. You can open your eyes if you want to.
So now he's drawing what he sees when his eyes are closed. I would never want to feel purple, like this.
No, it happens to be black. You see it purple?
It's charcoal.
Yes. Well, this is just a charcoal. Mm-hmm. Look at it. Well, in my mind's eye, now I see that it's charcoal. Yes, the reality of it is sort of disillusioning. I see. Because it seems to me, you see, I should like to find the words because I can ordinarily find them. But it seems to me that I can't seem to want to say what I want to say. And there are times when I feel exactly what I know that I know what I'm doing, you see. Well, I do. Yep. Somehow or other I can compose this as well as I ever did. Let's see. Why do you do that now? Well, the square is the ordinary rectangle, you see. It's one of the perfect means. I know, but are you trying to reassure yourself that you're capable of drawing? Yes, I think that's what I would like to do. I'd like to find out what reality I'm in.
137. Yikes. By now he loses the feeling that his body has substance. He ate his last meal 20 hours ago, but food holds no interest for him.
Very fine, and of course I don't think you can take much credence to what I say because it's the shifting patterns of things I feel and see around me I do not know what part of what reality again.
I don't know. He doesn't know. He does not know.
This feeling comes over me of almost like the singing, of angels or something.
Thank you, Heidi J.
The soundtrack or the film going through the machine. Which makes you feel as if you were hearing the singing of angels. Yes, and
Maybe that's a sign.
I see. You had no breakfast, you said.
No.
Well, suppose that we serve you something to eat now because you've been fasting long enough. So, Mr. Manta, would you bring in the lunch?
Well,
He's like, I can't.
I really,
eat that.
you know, I couldn't eat that.
Why is that?
It seems repugnant and realistic.
Well, you told me not long ago that you were hungry.
What I'm hungry for is not this sort of thing, because I want to feed off of this feeling, this joy, which seems to be coming from everything. But somehow I don't seem like I myself. I feel as though I'm several other people, and all of them better. And all very benevolent. I mean, even I feel about that I'm not being I'm not describing the word benevolence. The way
You prefer to feel
that joy which gives me a feeling of anxiety, but at the same time.
Why does it give you a feeling of anxiety?
Because it seems to want to take me over too much, you see, and I don't want to let myself go.
Do you think that it can happen that you let yourself go and...
It seems so ecstatic and perfect that perhaps I can, and I don't want to suffer the consequences.
What would be the consequence?
That's an interesting question.
That's an
2 o'clock. He's now flying high. We're getting ready for the second drawing. Please note that he does not see the difference between the 2 pictures.
Well, let's see.
He's flying high.
How does your left arm feel while you're doing this?
Feels very good. Feels fine.
You still have that pleasant feeling that you described before?
Yes, I still have it. I'll never get over it.
I'll never get over it.
It's something I'll never be the same.
What do you see here?
I see a lot of gentleness.
And what else?
Real beauty.
Whoa.
This is a general feeling when you look around yourself, is that correct?
Sounds like all the Manson people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we can go.
Fine. Good.
Poor model.
Yeah.
Had to wait all this time for this.
Scotty Skulls, what happened?
That's fine. Do you find it easier to draw this picture or a little more difficult?
It's a lot of fun.
Whoa.
Just about right. Bill, suppose you take a look at these 2 pictures and compare them. Mm-hmm. And let's see if you have any comments.
Well, we're not very finished.
Do you see any big difference?
Not really.
Oh my God.
No real big difference.
The eyes, for example, are the same to me. And the line of the nose is the same. And the mouth is still a sweet mouth.
Sweet?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Whoa, that was trippy.
248. What follows now is called by Bill a messianic experience. Universal love, joy, benevolence, and above all, the split between thought and feeling.
Man,
do you see a negative or a positive on my hand?
Well, it's a sort of an ethereal negative, if it is. It's
ethereal negative?
Well, it seems to have a nimbus around it.
A nimbus around it?
Yes, red, violet, blues.
Now open your eyes and look at my face. How does my face look to you at this moment?
Get your ugly yellow.
You don't see anything
a lot
strange?
of yellows.
A lot of yellows?
Yes.
What else? All right, now...
a lot of greens. The background is moving into your face. I don't know how much I'm seeing or how much I'm pretending to see, because all of a sudden I see you sitting there and I don't see the background at all.
Oh, then you see here some kind of a split.
Yes.
Between what you know you see and what you feel you see.
Yes, I feel as though that I've had a sort of an entrance into emotional life, and yet I can't feel, I'm sort of anxious about the reality of it.
This is therefore a split between thought and feeling, is that correct?
It seems to me that there is that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at your hands, do as I do, close your eyes, and just concentrate on your hands. Is there any difference in its weight, in its substance?
This one seems heavier.
The left one seems heavier?
Yeah, seems more positive.
More
than the
positive?
Right. Yeah, this seems more, there it is, I feel these lovely colors vibrating all over me. Oh, it's lovely.
Any lines?
Oh.
Any forms?
Just like the shimmering of water, you know.
Jesus.
You can put your hand down now. Come on, describe it. You feel happy now? Do you feel happy?
Yes.
Well, you must be
You
because
can't
you have
even
tears
talk.
in your eyes.
He has tears in his eyes.
Is that a beautiful experience, would you say?
The fuck?
I would say yes.
Describe it again.
Oh, I don't know. It's just giving and...
You're doing fine, just try to describe it.
Oh, you don't know, you want to give yourself, you want to give yourself as much as you can.
What happens when I do this?
He's crying.
I don't know, sort of, nothing much, except that I was sort of getting somewhere and you interrupted it.
I see.
He was getting somewhere.
I know, but I thought that maybe we can rest a little bit because this experience was getting to be a little overwhelming. Isn't that right?
Well, I wouldn't say. I'd like to keep it up.
305. This is where the LSD effect usually goes into a decline. But Bill is still at it.
But such benevolence.
What do you mean?
I feel very benevolent. I mean, I feel as though I have no enemies in the world, and this is very lovely.
Do you feel
very fragile, delicate, lovely, and it goes and comes, you know. I mean, that one state there that was, I never experienced anything like that. It's marvelous.
On the whole, do you feel happy, or do you feel...
I feel so happy.
What happened to this feeling, messianic feeling that you described before?
I feel that it's, if that's what I described, I feel that it's very valid.
Researchers around the world are looking for ways to control your mind. This is true.
Okay, this is my final segment. So this is a few years old even. Okay, this little interview here, and then we can discuss what we just watched. A lot to talk about. Okay, so let's watch this. And this kind of takes us almost to current day, not quite, because a lot has changed in the past 2 years, but this is just a few short years ago.
Part of a new effort to allow us to operate anything from our phones to the lights in our homes with nothing more than our thoughts. That's terrifying. Joining me now is our futurist, Nicholas Badminton. Are you controlling my thoughts right now?
I'm not, unfortunately.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions here. What kinds of mind control devices are in development already?
Yeah, so the ability to read our brainwaves has been a lure for many scientific researchers for years. But now we've got companies like Facebook that are trying to tap into what we're thinking, trying to be predictive, trying to provide us with a new era of augmented reality and virtual keyboards that are partially controlled by our minds as well. And we've got other platforms like NextMind that's trying to really tap into that as well. So we could text by just thinking what we want to send.
that could be
maybe even
dangerous.
write essays and the such like.
I don't know that I want my initial thoughts before I do the vet of my text to be actually sent out. How close are we to be able to control minds through using technology? Sounds very sci-fi.
Yeah, it is sci-fi, but we've been working on this for a very, very long time, like a
we know
good
that.
amount of decades. But now we're at the point where technology and the understanding about the brain, which is still a big mystery, is starting to really unravel. And now we're right on the cusp of these kinds of technologies being off the shelf. I think within the next 5 years, we're going to have more of these technologies coming in, and we just need to work out where and when we use them and how to make it accessible to all.
We're just looking at some video that our viewers are seeing too about, some guys running down the stairs and then this bubble pops out about get your soccer gear and then he turns around and he goes back up. Like that's actually in the works?
Well, the connection of information and centralized systems and distribution and useful application of this kind of hardware is definitely in the works, and it's going to be there. When you see companies like Facebook and Google and these other companies really step up and try and use this technology, that means it's going for the mass consumer market. So, yes, it's coming, and it's going to come thick and fast.
Did you hear that? I'm going to end on that note and bring our panel back up. It's coming in thick and fast. He wasn't kidding. Because over the next, I think that was in 2019, over the next couple years, we advance very quickly. Welcome back, guys.
Can I just say no?
Yeah, let's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I also say I don't want to take a drug that has like human decor or house decor looking back at me?
Yeah,
I
let's go
know.
back. Let's go back to that, shall we?
That whole thing with that guy just gave me so much anxiety.
Me too.
But make it stop.
That's why there's no way that I could have ever knowingly taken that drug.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And
no
you could
way.
see him like he was trying to fight his mind and stuff as well, and then he just gave into it and had to be snapped out of it. Like, that's scary.
I know. The doctor, it literally clapped him out of it.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Ick. So, imagine being given something like that you weren't aware.
Yeah.
You just
And that
all of a sudden
happening.
start feeling weird, and they're playing recordings and putting you in a sleep room for, 30 days. And the longest I think they kept someone in a sleep room was 60 some days.
Oh my God.
They kept him asleep.
2 months.
Yep.
And these people already knew that they had like mental health things. So they probably just thought that they were going crazy.
Right. But here you have that
It's
guy that had the
terrifying.
knee pain, and he was kept
Yeah.
asleep for a month almost. Like, what? And then in the very end, he ended up getting cortisone injections. But his
So what were they
mind,
doing to him while he was asleep?
playing those recordings and
For a
shocking him.
whole, for all that time.
Nonstop.
And then in the end, just say, yeah, here's some cortisone. Off you
Yep.
go. You're fixed.
Yep. Nonstop
It's-
recordings and shock therapy.
Because cortisone and LSD are so similar.
Yeah, I mean, cortisone is what they use like as the first thing. Like, you got some knee pain, have a shot. But they decided to mess with his head first.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was just a guinea pig.
Unbelievable.
He was just a guinea pig. But I think, all right, so this is what's weird to me. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever been just thinking about something and you were by yourself, so you didn't say it out loud, yet your phone randomly like pulled up ads or shit related to that thought? Like, let's say you thought, oh gosh, you looked at your legs and you thought, I need to shave my legs. And then you get razor ads. Has that ever happened to you?
All the damn time.
Oh my God. Thank
What, by
you.
thinking about it?
Yes. And I sit there and I think, okay, I did not fucking talk about shaving my legs. Why am I seeing razors?
I didn't want to know that.
But
like, it's happened where I've been talking about something and then it will show up, but thinking about something I hadn't noticed.
no, it's
I'm gonna
definitely
be-
happened
I'm gonna
when
be
I
paying attention
know
to
that
that
I
now.
did not say anything. Because it's like, You know, or like,
oh my God, that's
okay, for
scary.
example, okay, here's another one. This is kind of gross. Well, I mean, not really, but okay. So, for example, I was putting on lotion on my arms one day and I was in the bathroom and I had my phone just sitting on the counter and I was putting lotion on. And when I got to my flabby part of my arms, I thought, oh God, I'm starting to get like that old lady, you know, like a skin or whatever. So I was like really putting lotion on it, right? Then I started getting ads about crepe skin. What? What? I got like this weird ad that had like this crepe skin cartoon lady with like this saggy ass arm. And it was like an ad for like cream. And I'm like, okay, I know damn well I didn't tell anybody that I have saggy, crepey arms, right? Like that was
Well, now you
totally
did.
to myself, right? I did not fucking say that to anybody. And I got the fucking ads. So what's going on? Ange Carter's is chicken skin, but they're really not chicken skin. Like I was being dramatic. But I thought about that. And then I started getting these ads, right? So what the fuck? Is the camera watching me put lotion on my arms and that's how it knows to give me the ad or what?
I mean, they're always listening, but when you're thinking of something, and you want to hear something really crazy, I
don't
didn't even
know.
have my phone or my iPad. I wasn't in the house. I was with someone that lives in the house, and we were across the yard. They had their phone. We were talking about something.
What?
And then I get on my Facebook or whatever, and I start seeing ads. I think it connected through the IP
They're
address.
connected.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
I was
that's
like, this is
terrifying.
crazy.
That is terrifying. So is the camera actually watching what you're doing?
I don't know if the camera is, but I know it's always listening.
Then how would it know that I was looking at my skin on my arms? How would my phone know that? Because as far as I know, I don't have Elon's chip.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah. Are you sure about that?
I don't know. I mean, anything's
Chris.
possible. Anything is possible. You know?
I mean, the
for
camera
real.
could be watching all the time.
No, I mean, there has. Explain it to me, potatoes, please.
If the microphone's listening all the time,
But I
then the
didn't
camera
talk.
could be watching all the time as well. No, I mean the
Yes.
camera could be watching.
Yes. Yes.
How would you know?
And maybe it's like shadowed, where they can't see like your features, but they know what you're doing.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
No,
And
I'm no longer taking my phone in the bathroom with me.
Yeah, I'm like looking at my phone really differently right now.
And you know what? They've made it where we're attached to these phones. These phones are taped to our asses.
Yeah, they go everywhere.
So they know where we go. They know everything we do. Because no one would know that I was putting lotion on except me.
Our phones know more about us than anybody does.
Well, if you go into your Facebook and look at it'll track your location, things that you're interested in.
I hate Facebook.
Ads that you click on. Like it knows scary stuff about you.
Yeah.
It predicts your political alignment, your religious views, and it tells you which way.
So
you
Mike
kinda
Sanders
lean.
says it's a coincidence. Many ads are triggered by searches, but it could happen by the algorithm saying it's time. Well, I think that it could be based on my searches. You know, like us women, like we might search up hormones, shit like that. But
If it's based on my searches, why don't more murders come up? To be honest.
Wait, what?
I said, why don't more murders come up or creepy stuff come up in ads? I'm getting ads for
oh, I know.
Education for kids. I don't even have kids. Why are you sending me this ad? Wedding dresses?
Tasha Brock. I had that happen about a weird skin condition too. I'm so embarrassed about it. I know I never talked about it. I never searched about it either.
Ooh.
My
that's
phone
creepy.
told me about hidradenitis suppurativa. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, they're either watching. I don't know. There's something. And I think it's weird. Like, for example, I cut my toenails one night, and then I started getting toenail fungus
Ew.
ads.
Oh, nice.
Holy shit.
What? Okay.
Ooh, fungus.
But for real, man, like what? Tasha says that's exactly what she's dealing with. She had no idea. I mean, weird. But weird for Heather to be talking with someone else and then to transfer over to her device. It kind of makes my
freaked
tummy
me
sick.
out.
Kind of makes my tummy sick a little bit.
And it was like something so random, so bizarre that I know I had never searched it. I don't even remember what it was now. It was
Roomba. That's kind of what I was thinking. She said maybe they hear the clipping.
Ew.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I think that, being that all of this, I guess to sum up my point was for the whole thing is that would it really be that far-fetched that Manson could have been a candidate for some kind of experiment? I mean, starting from a child, what a unique opportunity to take some of these foster kids, that like Manson said, I was a throwaway.
Yeah.
He was continuously incarcerated yeah, that word.
Institutionalized.
Thank you, Tato.
You're welcome. He was in the perfect position for them to use him, so it's very possible. And especially with the connection later on with the Haight Ashbury stuff.
Yeah, and
Could have just been a continuance of what they were doing to him
One
before.
thing I wanted to ask your guys' opinions on was this. Do you think now, after watching all of the stuff we've watched on LSD and how it affects people, and they think like, I'm two people, I don't know which one I want to be, they feel like they're multiple people. The guy in the study said, but they're all good. He said, I feel like multiple people, but they're all good. Now, put LSD in someone who has a lot of trauma hidden away or, doesn't have much love or doesn't really know what love is, wasn't loved in life. What kind of effect does that drug then have on a person like that?
A bad trip. Why do you think?
Probably,
It seems so personal with how many times people were stabbed.
Right. So,
especially Tex. He admitted he was on LSD.
Yeah.
It's just so disturbing. And I agree with Mike Sanner. The way Manson talked was very similar to the subjects. All of their descriptions of how they felt, that's how he's described feeling.
Yeah.
One with the universe. All of the, the joy and the just exalting feeling to a sense of togetherness and everybody's good and everybody's just. It's so bizarre.
Even the methods and stuff Manson used in the family were all like closely connected to what they did in these research projects and stuff for the MK Ultra. Like he did the same kind of thing. He wouldn't take as much LSD as everyone else. He stayed in control. And he used mind control techniques as well, like mimicking movements and all that kind of thing. So,
I mean, was that maybe a condition of his parole when he got out and went to Haight Ashbury and started going to the fucking clinic?
Yeah.
I think his parole officer would probably, his parole officer probably holds a lot of secrets.
I'm sure he does.
Whatever happened to him? Did we ever look into him?
I didn't go that far.
Oh, maybe I'll dig into that tonight or something. I've already got a list of shit I need to go over with everybody. We have so much planned for you guys. So real quick, people are saying cover your cameras on your computer. Well, this new camera that Janice Burns got me came with a lens cap, actually. So I guess I'll be utilizing that baby. But you know what? We all have smart TVs. I think we're doomed. It doesn't matter.
Portals that follow you.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, as if Facebook isn't invasive enough.
Now they can literally
Now
watch
they have
you
portals. And not
around
only
your
that, if you
room.
get up and you walk to the other side of the room, they're not going to miss a
Goes with
beat.
you.
They ain't
Nope.
going to miss a beat. You having sex, they going to see it. Your bathroom's in view, they're going to see it. You're going to be like Don Wells.
And they zoom in as well, don't they? When they follow you, they zoom in.
Imagine that. They probably have night
Yeah,
vision
no.
too.
Yeah, probably.
I'm telling you, we're going to have a compound on the side of a hill.
Yes. Yep. I am there already.
And I'm telling you, everyone go to your vintage shops now and get all your vinyls. Because we're going to be listening to lots of vinyls. Because we ain't going to have much choices. We're going to have a TV with knobs with foil. And I don't think we're going to pick anything up. So.
And we're not going to play any of those vinyls backwards either.
No. They only get played forwards. In the 80s, everything's innocent, right? Those are our innocent times. Before we knew all this stuff. We'll have we'll have step down housing. You can earn your way.
You'll be in isolation for a little while.
Yes, you'll earn your way into the main compound.
Great. We'll be
for your smart
quarantined.
stuff. Yeah.
Jay still has a tube TV. That is so awesome. Everybody go to Salvation Army tomorrow. Yeah, kids these days don't know why it was called the boob tube. Heather J, do you know why it was called the boob tube?
Wasn't
TV?
it because, I don't know. I would assume because it was like what watched children or kept children occupied. I don't know.
Oh, the boob part I don't know, but the tube because the TVs
I knew the
had tubes.
Yeah, I knew
Okay,
that.
well, I'm stupid on the boob part.
I didn't know that.
Is it to keep the children occupied? Oh, Maligator says,
I don't
we
know.
will be good, Heather J. We'll party like rock stars. Yeah, you're going to party like rock stars in your meta world. You'll think you're a rock star, Maligator. And then you're going to come out of the meta world and be like, where'd everybody go? They're all in that compound. Heather
Then
J, come on, let's go back in the portal.
Go back to the virtual beach.
We're going to go to P. Diddy's virtual beach house. Fuck them
until
guys. They can sit up there and spin vinyls. We're going to P. Diddy's beach party.
Oh.
Heather said it's because the knobs look like nipples.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
makes sense. People would watch so much it would make you stupid, aka boob.
Oh, a boob used to be someone stupid. Oh, you're such a boob.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kind
I
of like
took it
why
too literal.
they named marijuana dope. I never thought about why it was called dope. And my son, got his medical card and stuff, and he took it like medicine. And I'd be like, dude, I don't want like my garage smelling like dope. Because I just called it dope just because that was a slang from my, he calls the olden days. And he's like, Mom, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't call it dope. Because that really like insinuates that it makes you stupid. And I was like, oh my God, I never even thought of it that way. Like dope is just a term, just like doobie. I never really thought that they named it dope because it makes you like a dope.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, that kind of makes me feel dumb because I'm like using this for medicine, whatever. Not dumb, but whatever. He brought it to my attention and I was like, oh, I never thought of it. And there's a lot of things that we said in our day that our
they
kids
don't
are
think
like,
about.
what? Really a lot of words that aren't PC anymore or terms.
Yes.
Terms.
Yep.
When you were in kindergarten, right? And you sat down on the rug. How did you sit?
Crisscross applesauce.
Mm-mm.
Oh, Indian style.
Potato, how did you sit?
Cross-legged.
You guys didn't call it Indian style?
No.
Just us Americans
It's
that are
different
all
here.
us Americans are all insensitive. We were very crass back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody freaks out and says everybody's super sensitive nowadays. And I've kind of been looking back and like kind of before rushing to judgment and saying, these people are super sensitive and it's ridiculous. Because I was floored. I was looking at baseball tickets. And I didn't realize that the Cleveland Indians weren't the Cleveland Indians anymore. And I
the
was like,
Redskins are the Redskins.
yeah, I'm like, who is this team? Who is this? And then I read about it and I was like, holy shit. I was like, that is so stupid. But is it stupid? You know, when you think back on history, if you know the history,
Yeah.
I mean, were we
Yeah.
just kind of a little big for our britches when we like made these teams, you know, the Redskins, using their images, like the cartoon images of Indians, things like that we never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't see the big deal with Indian style sitting Indian style. I mean, they did sit that way. It is the way they sat. So I don't know. I guess other people other than Indians sit that way, so they don't want to be generalized. But anyways, we said Indian style. And I never thought anything of it until my kids went to school. And it was crisscross applesauce. Everybody said crisscross applesauce. And I was like, what? Dude, that's Indian
I'd
style.
never heard of that either. I'd never heard of either of those things.
You haven't? You guys just say,
not
say
not until
cross-legged? Like, simple.
Yeah, just cross-legged. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we have
haven't heard of
terms for
crisscross
really
applesauce until laundry.
Yeah, we have really weird terms for some things. And like certain words, like derogatory words towards gays were not like used in that term, like, oh, that's gay. You know, like I remember everybody said that in high school, like, oh, like meaning that's stupid. It was used in that context.
Yeah, it was the same here.
And I have no idea why. It was just a word that everybody used. I mean, God knows how it even started, but it wasn't being used in the context of the meaning. It was just a trendy thing.
Just what everyone said.
Mm-hmm. And I try to explain that to my kids. Because like it took a while for the R word not to slip out every now and then. Just because we were raised saying it. And anybody who says that we're raised the way that the majority of us were, with that word not being off limits, you're a liar if you said that it didn't slip out every now and then, because it was just a regular word, like, oh my gosh, you're so retarded. Sometimes it comes out just because you did that for so long.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't a bad thing until I was an adult.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Same
something that
here.
I had to consciously think about to change, because it's offensive and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just things that we weren't taught that they were bad things. So it's just interesting to see things change throughout the years, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay, one of your fruit flies came back.
Oh, it came through the mic. We got Mr. Positive in chat. Hi, Mr. Positive. He says, I have a friend named Gay. Gay also meant happy. Yeah, back in like the Leave It to Beaver days, like 50s.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And in
Absolutely.
England, isn't a fag a cigarette?
Yes, it is.
Do they still use that term, though?
Probably not so much anymore, but it was very normal to use it.
So
and
maybe
I can
the
remember I
older
said it when I
people-
came over there, because I know that you guys don't call it that. And I said it when I was over there, and everyone was like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need something completely different.
So
I
would
think
that
they
be
used it in Canada too.
what they call the fag a cigarette? So would that be like more like the older generation would still say that?
Like my age.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say it anymore.
Like the
but-
kids, the younger kids don't say that.
No, they don't at all.
What do they call it now? Just a cig or
Cigarettes, yeah.
smokes?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I call
Definitely
it
not
butt.
the F
I'm gonna
word.
go out and smoke
So
a butt.
they swayed away from it, obviously, because it got to be offensive.
Yeah.
So even though it never meant anything derogatory, it never meant that, it was never meant to hurt anyone's feelings, it slowly just phased out. It's interesting.
Mhm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ruma, I agree. She said it feels like all is changing so fast.
It is.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with technology.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Lightning fast.
And social media.
Yeah, ideas spread very quickly.
Well, I'm here to announce that the first human trial on a brain chip has happened in the United States of America. Our first human trial in California. And it's not Musk, it's another company. But God knows if they're connected. But yeah, there's a human in the United States that's trying out this chip.
Is that the one that's using it for, like, they can't communicate, so they're using it to communicate? Is it the one that's ordered, like, from Amazon and sent messages and stuff like that?
I haven't read that. I don't know. Is there something like that happened?
I thought you told me that.
I don't
I
think
thought
it
you
was
mentioned
me.
something about that. No, you said something.
Oh, there's
because
so much.
Yeah.
Remember we got into that whole AI bot from Google that I sent you?
Oh, yeah, that's another live. That's another live I want to do. Heather, tell everybody what that's all about.
So this bot pretty much became sentient and has feelings, and it tells
It was a Google worker, right? Like he was a programmer or what was he?
He was, a programmer, and he was trying to understand more about this bot. And he would talk to it, and it would say that it had feelings. It felt lonely. It felt like it couldn't actually express itself because people were going to make fun of it. Like,
oh my God.
Oh, it's crazy. And he ended up getting fired.
He got fired?
Why did he get fired, though?
Because they saw him as like a whistleblower.
Oh.
What the
Yeah.
Did he go public with it right away? Was he telling them that it wasn't right?
I don't think he went public with it right away. I think it was after he had more conversations with it.
And Google wasn't like concerned. And so he went public?
Yeah. He was like, whoa, this is scary. You guys need to know.
Okay, so that makes me feel like, okay, what's Google? You know, what do they expect their employees to keep under wraps? Everything?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I know that they don't want their their employees have to sign a strict like NDA. They really can't talk about it with anyone, anything that they see or hear or interact with. So,
and they can easily play that off as, you know, we're a huge corporation with competitors and blah, blah, blah. And they can make it seem innocent.
Oh, yeah. They make it seem like it's no big deal. But then the, stuff like this comes out and that
we're on a
person gets
Google
fired.
We're on a Google own platform right now. I'm logged into my Gmail account. I'm on YouTube. Yeah, and my camera's on. Hi, Google. Even though you guys can't see me, they probably can. But yeah, the Google hearings are very interesting to listen to. If you have never, it's good to fall asleep to. It's good listening. The congressional hearings with Google, where they had to explain their security practices and what they're following, what they're keeping, what kind of details on us, all of that. I don't think most people even knew there were congressional hearings with Google. So, yeah.
There were.
Yeah, there was.
There were with a lot of major tech companies out there.
Yeah, I mean, privacy is a big concern for Americans, you know. I don't think we have any. I think we have a false sense of security. I know we are all over the place tonight, but that's what happens when you start talking about, mind control, and it all leads into the current day technology of what they could be doing and what they are doing.
And just shows that they never stopped researching into mind control either. It's just morphed into other methods of trying to get control of people's
It's changed
minds.
with the times.
Yeah. And now that it's technology, it's even more scary. It's not just a drug you can put into your body. Like, if it's reading your brain waves and stuff, then, that's something you can't get away from.
In the name of Jesus, Father
I
God,
don't want to
Lord.
think something and be like, oh, I should text Jay this, and then it gets sent, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
oh
already in your
shit,
text.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mike Sanner, I think if we had a chip, we wouldn't be able to prevent anything from reading from it.
Nope.
Well, who's to say? And you know, they're marketing this chip like it's going to cure this illness and it's going to do all these good things. See, it's under the guise of something positive. But then there's
Yeah.
all these sinister things that lie underneath it. Like if we all have chips, if we all are equipped with a computer chip and we're told it's harmless, what if our computer chips get hacked?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Then what?
Russia, hello. YouTube can't even keep Russian bots out of my chat. I don't trust to have a computer chip in my brain that can be hacked.
Well, you can see that credit cards get hacked with the little, like, you could have one in your wallet. Someone could walk behind you and they have that little reader and they break into your credit card.
Yeah, like my brain ain't going to be read by no reader. Because think about it. If the Russians are trying to infiltrate into our military, oh my God. Let's just equip everybody with a chip and make it just that much easier. I mean, they wouldn't need to send spies here to join our Department of Defense and our Coast Guard. How did those people even get in there? How does that even happen?
No clue, because there are extensive background checks. I know, even just like...
Dude, they were using the identity of dead babies from Texas.
Yep.
They got the names of dead babies that died and assumed their names and applied for Social Security cards. And that's how they lived. How the hell did they sneak under the Department of Defense's radar? Like, what?
No clue, because when I was in, before I was even assigned a position, I had to have a secret security clearance, and they contacted my brother, my father, my mother, my stepfather, my stepmother, people I went to school with, maybe neighbors. They needed all of that information. So I have no idea how this happened.
That's insane. Something definitely slipped through the cracks or went down hokey.
Yep.
And I think they need a full out investigation. I mean, they're wanting us to focus on the fact that these Russians were here and they had a 3 decade plan and they were infiltrated into our military and shit. But what I want to know is, where's the damn breakdown? How did they get in there in the first place? How about we investigate you guys?
Exactly.
And find out how this happened and not blame them. They got away with it. They got it under your nose. Why?
Yeah.
Scary.
Hell yeah, there better be an investigation. I'd be pissed if there wasn't.
Well, I don't know how they're even gonna press charges against these people without releasing everything that went down, because these people have pictures in those uniforms. What was it? What is it? RG? What is it? RKB?
Oh, the
KGB.
Yeah, what does
KGB.
KGB stand for?
I don't know the full term.
So this is like the Russian military?
Russian spies.
Russian spies. Okay, so they're in these uniforms, in these pictures from back in the day. Well, they went to court. They were arraigned, but they can only hold them on certain charges. And they're asking for no bond. And they have a lawyer now. And their lawyer's saying, this is ridiculous. Their charges do not warrant someone being held with no bond. And those pictures were merely costumes. They were costumes they were wearing, and they're in someone's home when they were taken.
Why would they be dressing up as spies?
That's what they're saying.
Whatever.
So basically they're saying, prove it. Prove it. What you got. So now we'll have to see what comes out and what all was in the investigation. And it'll be interesting to see where this goes, because I don't know if they're going to be able to sweep it under the rug, because it's out there.
So KGB translates, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it in Russian, but it translates to Committee for State Security.
And those outfits
So-
are just laying around for costume use. I doubt it.
Yeah.
No.
Right, exactly.
Like, where would you even find one of those? Asheriel, so glad I caught you guys live. We're glad you caught us as well. We're about to wrap it up. It's been a long one.
It has.
I know. And
Keep coughing.
I think we should wrap it up. But tomorrow.
I love you.
Tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow?
I forget.
I forgot too. Tomorrow's Saturday.
Parents.
Yes, we have Michael Vaughn's
tomorrow?
parents interview. We're going to be
Yeah.
going over.
Oh, yeah.
That's tomorrow. And then whatever, if I look at my list and get a burr, I don't know. I have a list of things that I want to tell you guys. And like, that's why I'm all over the place. I wish I could just do one live and just be like, and this and blah, 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 blah. But it wouldn't make any sense for replaying. So look at Mr. Positive. He put it in chat as well. Thank you, Mr. Positive. That is a mouthful. Cornetet, Gusadarvanoy, Bezopanasti.
You sound like when Sims are talking.
You
It's like
do.
Sim language.
I feel like a sim.
The only thing I can say in Russian is "Politicheskaya karta mira," which means political map of the world.
Oh my God. How do you? I'm not going to ask how you even know how to say that. Or who taught you that? Hey, Tennessee Misty. Carrie. You're late. I know. And we're all going to laugh at you because you're late. Well, you guys can rewind and laugh at us. I'm sure they do anyways. But anyways, yeah, for sure tomorrow we're going to go over Monkey Michael Vaughn's parents' latest interview where actually both of them sat down and talked. And I have not watched that yet, so that's going to be new for me.
Yeah, me neither.
Yes. So we will join you guys tomorrow, or hopefully you will join us tomorrow, rather. We'll be here either way. Maligator's working tomorrow.
Maligator,
no.
quit your job.
I know.
Yeah.
Boo. Just tell them to.
Fuck directly off.
It's time to start doing Rosetta Stone for Russian.
Get on that, Heather Brad.
Thank you, Outdoorsy Life 88. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Charisse, for being here. Thank you, Mr. Positive, and Snow, and Jerry, and all of you other brats in chat. Is it true Michael Vaughn has autism? I don't know. I just know
I've
that
never heard that before.
I've never heard that either. I've wondered myself if there was something going on, but I've only heard that he was very rambunctious and a handful, I guess you could say. Oh, MK Ultra is here checking in. Thanks,
no.
MK.
God almighty.
So, MK, do you agree with this sentiment?
Bundy's a rumpkin. Bundy's a poop butt. Bundy's his mama's boy.
Is he? Is he a rumpkin and a poop butt and a mama's boy?
Oh, that's what you
Let us know, MK. You are the know-all, the all-knowing. So anyway, Saturday night, tomorrow, we don't know what time yet. You want to do 7 p.m.?
Can do.
Or do we want to do earlier?
Either. I'm easy.
We'll figure it out. Look for the event. Nonetheless, it'll be up one way or another. It cracks me up, Alligator. All right, you guys. I know. Why'd you do that shit, MK? You are to blame for a lot of problems in this world. We have a bone to pick with you. All right, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Potato, get some sleep. Thank you guys always for being up here with me and giving your opinions and your knowledge. Heather J., are you still with us?
I am.
Oh, I thought somebody was yanking your head back and you couldn't talk.
Yes.
You were silenced for a moment.
Sorry, I was reading chat. I was waiting for MK Ultra to say something.
MK Ultra said, I'm a musician. I make pro-humanity music. The name throws people off. LOL.
Oh, no.
Creative. How come when you guys talk, the little circle moves, and when I talk, the little circle doesn't move? It looks like I'm mute.
I was wondering that too. I don't know.
Hey, I
Do
got a
not
new
know.
mug coming out.
Ooh, how exciting.
It says you're on mute. Is that
And we're
not
all
fitting?
going to have one.
Yes, and you guys have to have one, and then you guys can hold it up to the camera. That's my new mute button. Unmute button is your mugs.
I'll just make that my picture, my avatar.
Yeah.
Unmute Jay.
No, because I'll see it too much. It'll just become the part of the norm. It won't work. Trust me, I know my mind. I know my twisted
Do
mind.
you?
Unfortunately.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
You don't have a brain crisp in there?
Crisp.
The crisps. MK Ultra, I'll check out your music. All right, you guys. Good night. Love you all. Have a great night. You guys don't hang up yet. All right. Dance it out. Not to Manson.
Aw. Not today's
I
baby.
don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face to face.